Infinite projection room begins with the projection of Ultron's world destruction. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 776. First meeting. Peter Parker. Hi, Gwen. Peter and Gwen walked hand in hand on the road. Peter looked a little serious. The changes in the screening room this time made him very worried. By the way, Gwen, where is the necklace amulet I gave you? I'll take a look. As the only person in the world who knew Peter's identity, Gwen naturally knew the importance of the amulet he gave her. You know, Peter, I had a dream last night. I dreamed of a big spider web. I also saw you on the spider web, and there were many people wearing various spider costumes. They were all Spider-Man, and so was I. Gwen told Peter about her dream. At this moment, a magical light suddenly lit up around the two of them. Be careful. Peter immediately took out the evolution thruster and picked up Gwen to get out of here, but the magic light seemed to lock them both. No matter how they moved, they couldn't break free. There's no way. Nexter. The light lit up, and Peter became Nexter, but this time the situation was really beyond Peter's expectations. Even the power of Nexter couldn't break free from this lock. A terrifying darkness rushed down from the sky, as if trying to force Nexter out of the lock, but the next second, the two were teleported away. No. In the dark realm, the person who saw this scene exploded. He was darkness, destined to devour the light. Now that the light was swept away by other darkness, what should he do? He just didn't pay attention for a moment, and the light disappeared. Asshole. No matter who you are, if you dare to snatch him from my hands, I will definitely make you pay the price. 616 Universe, New York Central District. Bumblebee. Support the left side. Bumblebee opened fire at full power. The melee template Bumblebee has not been used for a long time. He is now more obsessed with the feeling of using guns and lasers to blow the enemy into ashes. The bats flying around saw Bumblebee as if they saw a ghost, fearing that this big iron block would stare at them. They are vampires, which sounds nicer, and can be called blood clans or bat demons. Anyway, no matter what they call it, the first thing is very important. That is, no matter which version of vampires, they will never include the Autobots from Cybertron in their diet. In Queens, Bumblebee almost single-handedly resisted a team of hundreds of vampires. Although due to the rush of time, Bumblebee could not replace himself with all silver weapons in a short period of time, but Bumblebee's laser cannon contains the two properties of strong light and high heat, and these two properties are natural enemies of vampires. Hawkeye and Black Widow are responsible for leading the police to evacuate the people here. They lack weapons that can cause fatal injuries to vampires. The shield in Captain America's hand flew back and forth, and a strange light flashed on the shield. This was the reward he got from the screening room. Prop card, random enchanting potion, level, green, effect. This bottle of enchanting potion will add a random number of enchantment effects to an item, which will last for 24 hours. At this moment, Captain America's shield was blessed with loyalty level 1, reflection level 12, sharpness level 1, intelligence level 3 and high speed level 1. Captain America didn't quite understand what the two effects of loyalty and intelligence could do for a shield, but the other three attributes were quite effective when facing this group of vampires. Especially reflection. Captain America punched down a vampire who tried to sneak attack him, and with the help of the vampire as a starting point, he jumped up and took back the shield. Seeing that the surrounding vampires had gathered to a certain number, Captain America shouted in the communication channel, "Close your eyes." Then a flash bomb flew into the sky and started. The effect of the flash bomb can only knock back and stun this group of vampires. After all, it is not a Ralph grenade. But when the strong light emitted by the flash bomb was blessed by the effect of the 12-level reflection enchantment, the sky was bright. As a bright light that was bright enough to blind people's eyes shone beautifully over most of New York. More than 100 vampires closest to Captain America disappeared on the spot, and only a few lucky ones left their shadows on the wall. A black man with a pale face poked his head out of the residential building and said to Captain America on the communication channel, Captain, is this really a flashlight and not a miniature nuclear bomb or something like that? I think my face will be as white as yours. Wesley, I didn't know you had a sense of humor. Hawkeye's voice sounded in the communication channel, and Captain America immediately asked, Clint, how is the evacuation work going? Everything is going well, Captain. That's good. Stark Building. Tony is here discussing the bat incident that has been getting stronger and stronger with Dr. Banner and Nick Fury. They have been back from the screening room for 3 days. There have been people missing every night in these 3 days. Now the group of vampires simply stopped acting and captured humans in New York. The Avengers went out to fight this group of disgusting monsters, but due to the lack of suitable weapons, the battle was not smooth. Thor was recalled to Asgard by Odin a while ago, saying that something big had happened, and then Asgard could not be contacted at all. The wizards of Kamatage found that their supreme sorcerer had disappeared at this time, leaving only a small note to protect the earth and to find Wang if there was anything. Wang, the butler of Kamatage, took on all the affairs of the entire Kamatage alone. Although Wang usually did so, now the demons from hell want to destroy the world. As the temporary supreme sorcerer designated and recognized by the Ancient One, Wang has a particularly heavy burden on his shoulders. Almost more than half of the living forces of the entire Kamatage were dispatched, because this time it was not just a group of bats that participated in the bat incident, but also something more evil. This group of bats is like a group of lunatics, attacking humans aimlessly. The most important thing is that they seem to have been lurking for a while. Many local residents in New York have been transformed into blood slaves for this group of vampires to drive and attack humans. Wesley shuttled through the alleys and cut off the heads of vampires one after another. He sensed that something was about to attack him and instinctively swung back with his sword, but it missed. It was not because the enemy dodged, but because the enemy was captured. The weirdo in red and blue combat clothes used white silk threads to throw the vampire against the wall and then locked it completely with a few spider silk threads. Hey, man, is there any Halloween event today? The man came to Wesley's side, and it seemed that he had endless words in his mouth that he wanted to blurt out. Who are you? Don't you know me? I'm Spider-Man, the friendly neighbor of New York citizens. What about you? What's your name? Cape Man or Sunglasses Man? Blade Warrior? Captain? Hawkeye blew away a vampire who tried to sneak attack the refugees with an arrow and reported to Captain America. Something seems wrong here. It seems that a big guy's coming. Clint, what's the situation? A big monster. I've seen it. It's very big. Clint, Natasha and many others saw a 100-meter tall monster appear out of thin air. Tony, did you hear me? Tony, we need Hulk. Maybe we don't need Hulk that much. In a residential building in Queens, a teenager hid behind his uncle and aunt holding a model toy of Iron Man. The last time he was attacked by the giant bat monster, it was Iron Man who saved him. He believed that this time Iron Man would definitely defeat these monsters and save the world. Bang! A bat smashed the glass and rushed in. He was beaten by the bumblebee and continued to repair his injuries. For vampires, there is nothing better than human blood. If there is, it must be the blood of virgins. Monster, get out of our house. The man held a fruit knife and blocked the woman and the child. Uncle Ben, don't be afraid, Parker. Ben blocked Parker and said to him, maybe we don't have the power of Captain America or the suit of Iron Man, but we can still have what they have. That is courage. The vampire grinned. He was beaten by the bumblebee first and then was hit by a flash nuclear bomb. Don't be afraid, kid. Soon, you will become a member of our great blood clan. You should feel honored for this. Who are you anyway? Ben's words seemed to have touched the vampire's DNA. He introduced his noble identity to the 3 praise that were within his reach. I'm a blood clan, a noble blood clan. Unlike those stupid humans and old-fashioned antiques, we are great bat believers. We believe in the bat totem. In the depths of the universe, there is a bat totem. It is the great bat totem that gives us blood clan power. Those conservatives still insist that we were created by God. How ridiculous. Gagarin has already explored the sky, and there are no gods there. The old-fashioned antiques of the conservative school are destined to be destroyed by us. The bat totem will cover the entire earth. Looking at the astonished eyes of the three humans, the vampire felt very satisfied, but he soon discovered that the eyes did not seem to be looking at him, but at the back of him. When the vampire turned his head to look over, he was stunned, as if he had been struck by lightning. A giant of light-emitting light stopped in front of the window, with a human in black and white combat uniform on his shoulder. The mysterious giant of light-emitting warm light was staring at him with his inhuman eyes. Although the vampire didn't know why he was not killed by this light, he felt that he might be finished. The silver thugs reached in, and the vampire couldn't even move. The big hand that wanted to punch the vampire into slag turned the fist into a palm at the last moment and grabbed the vampire out. Parker and the giant of light looked at each other. Parker, who saw the light for the first time, felt very familiar, as if he had seen the giant of light in front of him. "Nice to meet you, Peter Parker. It feels better to write a daily paper. I have to go out again today to drink. Another few $100 are gone." Chapter 777, Razsun Phantom. You really know something about vampires. Stark Tower. Now it should be called Avengers Tower. Tony and Dr. Banner stared at Nick Fury. Nick Fury, whose face was thicker than the outer wall of the Avengers building, didn't care about this harmless look at all. He said slowly, "The existence of vampires is no secret. Many people know it, including the US government. Vampires have existed for thousands of years. Vampires were active for a period of time, but were soon suppressed by humans. Let me guess, witch hunts and the Crusades? More or less. Now the times have changed. More vampires have begun to enjoy the benefits brought by the more convenient human society, and are less willing to be enemies with humans. There is a website called Midnight House, which is a cartoon website set up by a group of young vampires. These vampires are moderate and willing to coexist peacefully with humans. They regard the stories in the Bible as the origin of vampires, and believe that vampires and humans are brothers and sisters who can coexist peacefully. They are willing to drink frozen blood or even animal blood. These moderate vampires will even take the initiative to come to our special department for registration, and some of them work in blood banks. It sounds good if there weren't so many bats flying around in New York these past few nights. Tony's ridicule had no effect on Nick Fury. He continued with a blank expression, "But where there are moderates, there will naturally be another kind of existence. Radicals, right? Back to the right track." Nick Fury said to Dr. Banner, "It's a pity that this is not a screening room and there is no point reward, Doctor. These radicals were originally extremely dissatisfied with humans, but because of pressure from many parties, they can only endure it honestly. Now there are mostly moderates in power among the vampires. So we can't launch a purge against vampires. If it is not handled properly, the consequences will be serious." Nick Fury couldn't help but sigh when he said this. In many countries, including America, some vampires are big capitalists or politicians in power. Except for the former Soviet Union and the current CN, the political arena of major countries has more or less the shadow of vampires. Then why did the radicals suddenly make trouble? According to the information sent back by our informants in the Blood Council, the radicals seem to have discovered some supernatural powers recently. Tony sneered, not knowing whether he was laughing at the supernatural creatures like vampires who discovered supernatural powers, or at something else. That power is called the Bat Totem. At this moment, a light bright enough to illuminate most of New York lit up. It seems that the 12th level reflective enchantment is quite effective. Even your face just now almost surprised me that you had a genetic mutation and turned into a white person. The white version of Nick Fury. So scary. Okay, Tony. Dr. Banner saw Tony continue to fire and quickly stepped out to smooth things over. "Nick, what exactly is that Bat Totem you just mentioned?" "Not sure," Nick Fury said, "but based on the current intelligence, the other party does have unusual powers. We have data reports on the vampires here. I know that your shield firewall is not as strong as a sandcastle built by a child on the beach. It can fall apart without the wind and waves. Oh, I'm so sorry, your shield has been disbanded. I definitely didn't mean to mention this sad thing. TSK, the Bat Totem is not a joke. It can indeed give vampires different powers. Ordinary vampires not only have weaknesses such as weak light and weak silver, but their physical fitness is only slightly stronger than that of ordinary people, and they must drink blood. Blood is as important to vampires as salt is to humans. It's okay not to drink for a short period of time, but over time, vampires who have been without blood for a long time will have only two outcomes. One is death, and the other is to become a monster without any reason. With so many weaknesses, and with bare hands, the captain can beat a group of them. The only bright spot in combat performance is to transform into a bat. Compared to humans, their only advantage is that they live longer. If it weren't for this feature, they would have been wiped out long ago. But for some vampires blessed by the bat totem, the physical fitness enhancement is not worth mentioning. More importantly, they have more magical powers, such as controlling blood, summoning lightning, and it seems that they have mental abilities such as hypnosis. So, the original radicals can no longer sit still. They quickly joined the bat totem, claiming to be bat followers. And the informant sent a message saying that there is a treasure in New York, and the bat totem asked them to bring the treasure back, to offer it to it, and then he would give powerful power, to let the bat followers rule the world. It's the same familiar routine again, either destroying the world, or ruling the world. Tony said that these guys didn't even have a little bit of novelty. And, has anyone seen the appearance of the bat totem? It is a huge bat-shaped shadow. Is it that? Tony pointed out the window and saw a giant bat beast rising from the ground. The height of 100 meters is still outstanding even in the center of New York. Tony, we need Hulk. Tony also knew that the situation was serious and was ready to let Jarvis use the Iron Man suit to put Dr. Banner on the battlefield immediately. But at this moment, Captain America's words sounded again in the channel. Tony, we may not need Hulk very much, let Hulk go back. What's wrong, Captain? It's not your style to be hesitant. I met an old acquaintance here. Guess who it is? Captain, have you been bitten by a vampire? Shit. The 100-meter high bat beast was thrown directly to a higher altitude, so high that it could not be seen clearly with the naked eye for a while. Then, a huge magic circle appeared above and below the bat beast at the same time. The magic circle lit up with dazzling light, and a beam of light enveloped the entire bat beast. Captain, I think I know who you are talking about. A silver figure emitting gentle light flew into the sky. The silver meteor looked at the New York Central Park that had become a ruin because of the war, and seemed to be regretful and sighing. Then, Lars Sun Phantom. The silver figure raised his arms high, as if embracing the sun. Endless light burst out from the silver figure, and a huge sun phantom appeared over New York. At this moment, the sky was really bright. Originally it was just about stitching together Spider-Man and vampires, but suddenly the setting of movie was sewn in as well. Chapter 778, 3. Today is destined to be a sleepless night for the residents of New York City. If you were first thrown a supersized flash bomb, and then exposed to an artificial sun for a full 5 minutes, you would most likely have to bear the brunt of the sun, unless you were Sleeping Beauty. Our son of the sun has arrived. Tony walked onto the apron of the Avengers building, and opened his arms to welcome the visitor. Mr. Stark, you should leave this title to Clark. The silver giant that descended from the sky retracted its light, and turned back into the ordinary high school student Peter Parker. Don't refuse so quickly. The thing you threw is much stronger than the captain's supersized flash bomb. If I open a sunglasses store in New York now, I will definitely earn enough to support myself. After Tony hugged Peter, he pouted behind him. Is that your girlfriend? Yeah. Peter nodded shyly. Gwen, who was wearing a spider suit, could not see her expression, but from her toes sliding on the floor, it could be seen that she was not very calm in her heart. Tony, who noticed Gwen's little action, couldn't help but complain. Oh my god, are people in your world so conservative? Our world? Gwen, who was a little embarrassed at first, immediately grasped the point when she heard this. Then where is this place? Our world. Natasha patted her shoulder from behind her. Welcome to New York. Here is New York. Gwen looked at the surrounding environment. The New York in her world does not have so many skyscrapers. Just think of it as a fan setting, especially this Avengers building. It's too tall. Well, maybe you should follow the captain and his men to visit New York. He won't mind introducing the scenery of New York while cleaning up the battlefield. Maybe you can also ask that guy to introduce it to you. Maybe these flying rats have lived in the sewers of New York for longer than the Stark building. The vampire, who was tied tightly by a bundle of light ropes, wanted to refute when he heard this, but the moment he hardened up, he softened again under the gaze of the light. I'm not a local. Of course you are not a local. You are not even a human. Facing Tony's venomous tongue, the vampire could only tremble under the stern gaze of the light. The bat totem showed that he just wanted to suck some blood, but he was caught by a giant who looked like a god. Just after he pretended to be cool. Leave this guy to me and Natasha. Nick Fury came over and took Natasha and the vampire away. Compared with the front battlefield, this kind of behind the scenes work is the main field of agents. Sizzle. Golden sparks drew a circle in the air, and Wang walked out of it with a tired face. Would you like a cup of coffee? Wang asked seriously with dark circles under his eyes. We just detected the magical information of the extra-dimensional demon god appearing in New York. What happened just now? It should be me. Peter raised his hand awkwardly and explained. The Noah's light in my body may be closer to the dimensional demon god here. Wang looked at him with doubts, and after getting from Tony and the detection magic that the other party was indeed the same as him, he went back through the portal. What's going on here? Hearing Peter's question, Tony waved to him and returned to the hall together. During the 5th live broadcast, a black bat-like monster made of mud appeared in New York City. Tony began to talk about it. We usually have a lot of messy monsters appearing here, such as absorbing people and wolf spiders. We didn't take them seriously at the time. We just treated them as nothing happened after suppressing them. But soon, 3 days ago, when I returned from the screening room, New York was targeted by a group of bats. It was just a small fight in the past 2 days. We also tried to evacuate the people in advance, but it was useless. We couldn't do anything if they didn't leave. I also designed some weapons that could cause huge damage to those vampires, but they were dispatched en masse before we could carry out large-scale production. The captain and his men cooperated with the police, and with the help of some props from the screening room, they fought back and forth with those guys. High-powered ultraviolet searchlights, garlic grenades, and silver weapons are all in production, and will be arranged for the New York City Police Department soon. Are those guys really the legendary vampires? Under the mask, Gwen looked a little nervous. Although she had fought with the alien factor infection, that was more terrifying than vampires. As a child who grew up listening to horror stories about vampires, this kind of monster with childhood trauma still put more psychological pressure on her. Little girl, you can take off the mask. I have always wanted to ask, what kind of mask do you wear to see outside clearly, and isn't it stuffy? Gwen was a little embarrassed, but she took off the hood at Peter's suggestion. You have good taste. Banner couldn't bear it anymore, and didn't know what Tony was like. Maybe the vampire thing made him a little stressed, and he was getting more and more angry recently. Tony. The elevator door opened, and Captain America walked out with a group of people. Come on, let me introduce you. Tony held up a glass of wine and pointed at the people coming out of the elevator. Captain Popsicle, you know the one holding the bow is Clint, who likes to tell jokes. The one wearing a leather jacket is Wesley, you can call him Blade, etc. It seems that we have new friends. Peter and Gwen looked at the newcomers, and the atmosphere was awkward for a while. Well, how about we introduce ourselves first? I'm Peter Parker. X2. I'm Gwen. After Gwen introduced herself, she lowered her head and moved out silently. She now regretted why she took off the hood. If she didn't take it off, she wouldn't be so embarrassed with the hood covering her face. What about you, man? Spider-Man Peter number 1 poked number 2, who then reacted and said quickly, my name is Peter Parker too. Great, 3 Peters. Tony put down his glass and began to applaud. I think we should give these Peters a code name. Do you think ABC sounds better or 1, 2, and 3? I was pulled here by a beam of light. X2 number 1 looked at number 2 who had been in a daze and couldn't help asking, are you okay, man? Number 2 shook his head and explained, I just have a little, headache. I'll be fine after a rest. At this moment, a crackling sound was heard. Chapter 779, The Mage, the Spider, and the Sightseeing Group. Mordo, still can't contact Master Ancient One? Wang suddenly poured several mouthfuls of coffee into his mouth. He has been working hard for 3 days. For a great master who has achieved success in cultivation, not sleeping for 3 days is not a big problem. But Wang, who has had this experience, answered, people, just like those who have achieved success in cultivation, he also has his limits. Because the supreme sorcerer of his own family did not abide by martial ethics and ran away before the end of his term, the responsibility of the supreme sorcerer of Kamatage fell on 2 people. Master Ancient One's eldest disciple, Mordo. Kamatage's butler, Wang. Many great masters are devoted to cultivation and don't care about anything. It is better to expect them to manage Kamatage than to expect Tony Stark to become silent one day. Mordo is also a person who concentrates on cultivation and doesn't care about anything. After Ancient One ran away from home, ran away with a bucket, Mordo took the initiative to express that he would take on the burden of the Supreme Sorcerer. After learning from Wang that the burden of the so-called Supreme Sorcerer is actually to drink tea, read newspapers, guide disciples, practice according to his mood, decide important decisions about Kamatage, come out to recite a speech that has never been revised in the past 300 years during the new year, and beat up various dimensional demons on a daily basis, and basically don't have to worry about the rest. Mordo asked dissatisfiedly, except for beating up various dimensional demons, the rest of what you said is not as heavy as my usual tasks. Tell me how Kamatage is run. Wang looked at Mordo in silence with 2 big dark circles under his eyes. He didn't believe that Mordo was really blind or colorblind, because he didn't have the same skin color as Mordo. After understanding Wang's eyes, Mordo waved his hand to express his apology and said, Master Wang has maintained the operation of Kamatage for many years. He has taken on a burden that he shouldn't have taken on at his age. It's extremely hard work. Now he will take on the burden of the king. After Wang was relieved, he planned to have a good rest. After he had a good sleep in his room, he changed into casual clothes and planned to go on vacation. He set a 7-day vacation for himself. Wang estimated that Mordo would not be able to hold on for about 7 days, so he would take over. Mordo should not bankrupt Kamatage in 7 days, right? So Wang opened a portal and happily went to the beach for vacation. When he arrived at the beach, the warm sunshine sprinkled on Wang's body, which made his tense nerves completely relax. Since he had no money, let alone buying a beach chair, Wang chose to find a place with few people to take a good nap. Hi, hello. A man in vacation clothes came over and asked, excuse me, where is this? Hawaii. Okay. The man walked away, and Wang, who had just been disturbed from his nap, lay back down in confusion, and then he heard the sound of a door opening. Great, King, the vacation is over. King stood up and clapped his hands. He calculated that it was not bad. In 2 hours, he would have lasted a day. King thought that when he returned to Kamatage, he would see a chaotic scene, but judging from the current situation, it was not bad. Then Mordo told him that a little thing had just happened. Something has called on the earth, and creatures from other dimensions have come to the earth. Impossible. King did not bother to go back and change clothes after hearing this. He ran to the eye of the world and asked, even if the Ancient One is gone, there have been no problems with the 3 major temples. Dormammu and other dimensional demons cannot break through the protection network. King. Mordo marked many landmarks on the eye of the world, and then said, I'm sorry to disturb your vacation, but just now the defense network of the entire earth has shown strong feedback. We must find out whether this is a conspiracy of Dormammu and other dimensional demons. So everything returned to the old way. King sat in Kamatage to preside over the overall situation, and Mordo led people to fight demons and gods all over the world. But this time they didn't have the Supreme Sorcerer Ancient One as their last shield. After they had cleared the several locations that had appeared before and confirmed that they had not found any breath of the dimensional demon god, Mordo was still worried. But he couldn't contact his own Supreme Sorcerer. The private channel was not connected. If he opened the microphone on the public channel, the consequences of Dormammu knowing that the Supreme Sorcerer was not at home would be obviously more serious. Mordo could only continue to call Ancient One's private communication channel. His authority was not high enough to directly ask Vishanti for people, and Wang returned to his post. because the magic defense network of the Earth fluctuated and the Supreme Sorcerer was not at home. The whole camotage became nervous. Fortunately, there was a great wizard who was practicing in seclusion to calm the situation, so it didn't get into chaos for a while. 3 days passed like this. The biggest thing in these 3 days was that New York was attacked by vampires. Facing this situation, Wong and Mordo held different attitudes. Wong's idea was to help, while Mordo thought that the top priorities now were to find the Supreme Sorcerer who had run away, and to find out the feedback problems of the previous magic defense network. So Wong went to take a few glances himself, and after making sure that the person using the power of the dimensional demon was Peter, he did not pay too much attention. Wait, it seems wrong. Wong suddenly realized for a moment. Next, it seems not people from this world. The next second, the camotage alarm sounded, and Mordo and Wong led a large group of wizards holding various magic tools, and rushed directly into the Avengers building. Just as the Avengers building was in a mysterious embarrassment because of the self-introduction, a portal opened, and the fully armed wizards looked at the group of Peter who was in a mysterious embarrassment, and couldn't help falling into silence. In the end, it was Tony who broke the silence. According to American law, you are invading private territory, and I have the right to shoot you all. Tony Stark, they are visitors who do not belong to this world. We must send them all back. Mordo held the water magic wand, and looked at the 4 visitors from another world vigilantly. Well, I can explain it. X to the 2 Peter Parkers looked at each other, and said in unison, how about you do it? How about I do it? X2 well, I think X2. How about you go first? X to everyone. Please look, this is the last attraction of this tour, the Avengers conference room. A voice came from the elevator. Remember to give your dear tour guide a 5-star praise. Everyone. It's time to do nucleic acid again. Chapter 780. Multiple visitors and Smellu. I don't remember Stark Tower opening a tourist attraction. Hawkeye Clint aimed his bow and arrow at the elevator, and the others also aimed at the elevator door. What happened in the past few days was a bit weird. Jarvis, what's going on in the elevator? Sir, I can't understand what's going on in the elevator. At this moment, the elevator door opened wide, and an unknown red and black creature holding a guide flag with an unknown creature's head crookedly painted on it came out of the small elevator with a large group of people. Tony didn't know whether to sigh that his elevator room had a good load-bearing capacity, which could fit at least 20 people at a time, or whether he should raise his hand to shoot the thing in front of him. Mr. Deadpool? Peter asked tentatively. Is it you? Hi. Peter. Well, it seems to be true. You too. Looking at the guy in front of him, Tony was speechless and didn't know what to ask. As we all know, matter and energy are conserved, so if someone is silent, then someone will become a chatterbox. Now everyone is silent, so some people who don't know if they can be called human beings are excited. Deadpool enthusiastically stepped forward and shook the hands of Spider-Man number 1 and number 2. Oh, hello everyone. I'm Deadpool. You can call me Tour Guide Wade. I'm leading my Spider-Man sightseeing group to visit the Avengers building. Do you want to buy souvenirs? I have Iron Man action figures, Captain America posters, Mind Scepter keychains, Thor's hammer keychains. I also have a Stormbreaker version, a wig with the same hair color as Black Widow, Hawkeye's longbow but it's a children's version, the same super stretch pants as Dr. Banner, the same eye mask as Nick Fury. If you don't like it, I also have the Eye of Agamotto pendant, the Spider Silk launcher bracelet. Oh. You shouldn't need this since you're Spider-Man, and the same vibranium necklace as Black Panther. How about this? A jar of Pime particles. Or a gun of eternity. Of course this is a toothpick. What do you think this place is? Those cheap and meaningless tourist attractions that are a waste of precious lives? Hey, Iron Man. Deadpool held the bag but kept saying, you are a billionaire, and you own a company. I'm just a poor mercenary. It's not easy for me to support my wife and children. Can't you let me buy some souvenirs to make some extra money? You cold-blooded bastard. You will definitely be hung on the street light. Okay, Wade, how did you come to this world? Peter couldn't stand it anymore and grabbed Deadpool who was chattering and ready to fight with Tony for the opportunity to make extra money and asked, Please, this is very important. I want to buy a souvenir of yours. Aha. Thank you for your patronage. You are the best, Peter. When my child is born, I must let you be his godfather. Okay. Vanessa is pregnant? That's right. So I have to find a way to make more money. This is the helplessness of adults. After all, not everyone can use the Iron Man suit worth tens of millions as fireworks. Deadpool took out various souvenirs and small jewelry from his small bag and asked, "What do you want? How about giving your girlfriend a Scarlet Witch amulet? It's a rare and good thing." Then, take the amulet. Okay, 30 million. Come on, it's a good thing. But do I look like someone who can take out 30 million US dollars? Do you want 30 million Zimbabwean dollars? Yes. After saying that, Deadpool took out a machine from his crotch, grabbed Peter's hand and pressed it, and then stuffed a crudely made wooden amulet that looked like a piece of bark casually peeled off from an ornamental tree on the roadside, with the word Scarlet Witch written on it in red ink, into Peter's hand. Payment and goods, no refunds or exchanges. Can you tell me why we are gathered in this universe? Who do you think I am? Am I the kind of person who sells out the privacy of my customers? I'll pay. Looking at Tony Stark with an impatient face, Deadpool sneered. Ridiculous. Who do you think I am? A person who is blinded by money? Can you take your cash machine back before you say that? Ha, as long as you pay enough, you don't have to treat me as a human being. In Tony's extremely disgusted eyes, Deadpool completed the collection, and Tony was considering whether to wash his hands and disinfect them with alcohol later. Peter handed the amulet bought from Deadpool to Gwen. Considering that this was a souvenir from another world given by Peter, Gwen accepted it reluctantly. Come on, everyone, let me introduce each other. Deadpool clapped his hands and greeted. First, this is Peter Parker from Earth 65, and his girlfriend, the Spider-Man of that world, Gwen Stacy. No one cheered, but Deadpool was the kind of person who could get so excited by himself that he continued to point to the two Spider-Men who came here first. Now there are two Spider-Men in front of us. One is Peter Parker, and the other is still Peter Parker. After that, Deadpool took out a watch from his bag and gave it to number 2. It's for you. No money. Young man, don't be so sad, Smalu. Thank you. Okay, now it's time to introduce visitors from different multiverses. This is Peter Parker. His time is 1933. He is a private detective, Shadow Spider-Man. He likes to drink egg white milk. God knows what that is. Shadow Spider-Man, dressed in black, wearing a windbreaker and a black round hat, nodded to everyone in a cool manner. This is Penny Parker, from New York in the year 3145, driving a spider robot, and has telepathy with a little spider inside. Hello everyone. The short-haired junior high school girl named Penny Parker greeted politely, and the red and blue spider robot display screen behind her also had a smiling expression. This is Peter Parker, a photographer for the Howling Daily, whose mission is to dig out all kinds of heavy news. Hello everyone. I didn't expect you all to be almost the same as monkeys. Parker pulled his saliva-covered hand out of his mouth, looked at everyone's astonished eyes, and stretched out his hand to shake hands with Peter. I'm actually a spider, and then I was bitten by a genetically mutated pig, and turned into a pig. Hello, you. Peter found that his vision was still narrow. This is Spider-Man 2099 from 2099. This is Miles, from Ultimate Universe 1610. In their world, Spider-Man Peter Parker died, and then he was bitten by a spider, and now he has also gained Spider-Man's abilities, although he did not take over Spider-Man's position and become the next Spider-Man. But we can see this from his clothes. Miles was wearing a Spider-Man suit that didn't fit him at all, because the seller said that this thing could not be returned or exchanged. This is Spider-Man from the 1048 PS console world. What? This is Zang Parker. You can also call him the Ultimate Spider. He is from the 616 universe. The Ultimate Spider with 4 steel spider arms behind him nodded indifferently. And this one. This is Yamashiro Koya. He is. Let me introduce myself. The Spider-Man turned over and came to them. I'm the messenger from hell. 400 aren't. Okay Spider-Man. There is this Peter Benjamin Parker. The middle-aged and fat Benjamin looked at the group of energetic young people around him and felt that he was out of tune with them again and again. Okay, then can you tell us why you are here? Me. Deadpool pointed at himself and laughed strangely. Is your brain frozen? It's like frozen meat that has been frozen in the refrigerator for too long, old popsicle captain. I just came out to make extra money. Our question is also this: how did you come to our world? This is simple. Watch it. Deadpool took out the victory hyper gun from behind. Construct chaos. Break the wall. No. The Spider-Men instinctively sensed that something was wrong and raised their hands to send more than a dozen spider silks flying over. Stop him. Don't let him get away. Wall breaker Deadpool. The moment Deadpool raised his victory hyper gun and fired at the ceiling, a green portal opened under Deadpool's feet and sucked him in. Smellu. Smellu. Chapter 781. The Nemesis of Evil 400 Ants. At this moment, everyone could only stare at each other. Why should I follow this lunatic? The Ultimate Spider couldn't help shaking his head. He felt that this was too ridiculous. Then what should we do next? Let's find a way to go back. Guys, be quiet. We have to have a plan. What will happen when a group of Spider-Men get together? Hawkeye and Blade, who ran out to escape, felt that they had never experienced such torture in their lives, especially with Tony Stark, who had been very irritable recently for some reason. Captain America wanted to go up and persuade him, but because of Tony's crazy and poisonous tongue, he also quarreled with Tony while persuading him. When Hawkeye and Blade ran to the tarmac to get some fresh air, Clint, who had regained his mind, suddenly realized something very bad. It's bad. I forgot Banner in there. Hulk, I'm almost being killed by the bugs. A thunderous roar sounded, and Dr. Banner didn't control the Hulk in his body. He was instantly overwhelmed by anger and let Hulk take control. Calm down, Banner. Damn it. Jarvis, activate the anti-Hulk armor. I'm the Hulk. Hearing Captain America asking Banner to calm down, Hulk got even angrier. Hulk. The Ultimate Spider looked at the green monster in front of him, his face pale under the mask. This green monster who could beat Thanos with his body and lift a 50 million ton mountain were all basic operations. The most important thing was that the reputation of the green monster who could become stronger with his anger was well known in the 616 universe. The Hulk in their world was exiled, but the Hulk in the other world still frightened the Ultimate Spider. Spider-Man number 2 stepped in front of Spider-Gwen. Peter took out the evolution thruster. He felt the anger and some other factors from the Hulk. Come back. Are you crazy? Seeing that the guy next to him who said he was a messenger from hell was actually planning to go up and fight with Hulk in close combat, even though Peter Parker didn't feel anything about these, the Ultimate Spider still planned to save him. The messenger from hell, the 400-year-old lady. Toei Spider stepped forward to fight with Hulk, and in an instant, Hulk was actually repelled by Toei Spider. Toei Spider shot out spider silks similar to hemp rope to tie Hulk up, but these spider silks were no different from hemp ropes in front of Hulk, because they were really hemp ropes, and he was easily freed soon. Don't provoke Hulk, let him calm down. No one listened to the words of the Ultimate Spider at all. The Wizard, Spider-Man, and the Avengers fought on their own, and were in chaos. During the fight, Hulk started to demolish the house directly. Fortunately, Tony evacuated the employees of the entire Avengers building in advance, so there were no casualties. Shadow Spider-Man wanted to shoot, but was blocked by the little black spider and almost injured his teammates by mistake. Toei Spider was about to pose after 2 hits, and was punched away by the unethical Hulk. Spider 1 shot out Spider Silk to restrict Hulk's movement, but his Spider Silk happened to collide with Benjamin's Spider Silk, and the two had to tear off the Spider Silk in their hands first. Penny's Spider Robot and Spider-Ham teamed up to attack Hulk. Although it was useless, they cooperated well. Spider-Man on the PS game console threw a spider web bomb, which stuck Blade Warrior who was about to go up and slash Hulk quietly to the ground. Hawkeye shot an arrow and successfully blew up the spider robot of the Ultimate Spider. Captain America held a shield and tried to block the Hulk who was destroying it, but was almost knocked away by the flying parts of Mark 42. Captain America cursed angrily, but Tony seized this opportunity and instantly added, "Don't swear, Captain." He was even more angry. Nexter, who was the same size as his body, turned into a silver meteor and took Hulk away, which ended the farce. Great, I can now have a brand new decoration plan. Looking at the several floors that were directly destroyed, Tony complained angrily. Tony, this is a consequence of not having teamwork. Come on, I can handle the Hulk by myself. One person? The Ultimate Spider sneered. Tony Stark, you are still suitable to be a playboy. Superheroes are not suitable for you. You have caused a lot of trouble in my world. The word arrogant is simply born for you. Oh, then who are you? Otto Octavius. Drive Otto? Spider-Man number 1 asked in disbelief. Is it really you, Dr. Otto? It's me, Peter, although I don't know which world's Peter it is. The Ultimate Spider-Man said coldly, although I'm Otto Octavius, I'm not the Otto Octavius you know. Don't associate me with Dr. Octopus. Hearing this, Spider-Man number 1 stopped his hand in midair. Spider-Man number 2 remained silent, not like a Spider-Man. Are you okay? Gwen looked at the silent Spider-Man. She knew that this person was also Peter, so she couldn't help asking, you don't seem to like talking. Spider-Man number 2 was silent for 2 seconds, and then he hummed in a vague voice. Okay, everyone. Miles shouted from a high platform. No matter what, we have to unite. With you? The Ultimate Spider waved his hand and turned away. It was a mistake for me to follow that lunatic Deadpool here. There are only a group of young boys, a playboy, an old antique, and a big green monster. There is no one who can cooperate with me. Oh, really? An octopus in a spider suit? Yes, the chaos factor that put itself into a steel coffin. Tony and the Ultimate Spider were tit for tat. Both sides were extremely proud people, especially when facing their peers. It was impossible for them to give in. If this colleague belittled himself, it would be a good show. Hey, evil has appeared. At this tense moment, Toei Spider suddenly said, my spider radar sensed the existence of evil. What? Where? A group of Spider-Man were puzzled. They didn't feel anything. The nemesis of evil. 400 ants. Toei Spider left directly, and a group of Spider-Men followed. Ultimate Spider and Tony Stark looked at each other, and both sides understood what the other meant. Just talking can't decide anything. You still have to use actual results to prove it. In the alleys of New York City, Venom and Eddie were staring at Venom Eddie. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 782, Venom and Eddie. I'm Venom, you imposter. The Venom possessing Eddie roared loudly, and the other Venom on the side roared as well. The difference between the two Venoms is still very big. One is more biological, with more moist and flowing mucus on his body, and a larger body. The other has the same figure as an ordinary person, and his skin is more like a tights. Venom, is he really not your distant relative? Eddie couldn't help asking, you look like your cousin. Shut up, Eddie. Venom roared in Eddie's mind, I don't have such a relative. Crazy, chaotic, irrational, and can only scream like a monkey. At this moment, 2 spider silks as thick as hemp ropes flew over and trapped the 2 Venoms. Who? The messenger from hell. 400 ants. As the BGM sounded, the Toei Spider jumped down. Are you the Avenger? Venom's big eyes were a white line, and the other Venom on the side turned into liquid and slipped away through the sewage outlet of the sewer. The nemesis of evil. 400 ants. Don't you have any other lines? The other Spider-Men didn't expect this guy to run so fast, and they even thought that Toei Spider was actually teleporting. Shadow Spider-Man, Penny, Spider-Ham, Spider-Man number 1, number 2, Gwen and other Spider-Men came one after another. Ultimate Spider and Iron Man arrived here almost at the same time, and Captain America also arrived at the same time. Don't underestimate the Captain. Although he can't fly, he can use the building as a springboard. Seeing so many people arriving at the same time, Venom bared his teeth in anger, saying that it's just a lot of people. Who is afraid of who? Eddie begged the uncle in Venom's body not to get excited. This is his territory, and the other side has more people. Who are you looking down on, Eddie? No matter how many people they come, it's just a snack for me. The next one to arrive was Bumblebee on routine patrol. Finally, a golden portal lit up with a sizzling sound, and the great wizards holding magic weapons rushed over and surrounded Venom in 3 layers. Venom's body fluids trembled when he saw this scene, but he still held on to his momentum and didn't want to lose. Venom? Venom? Why is this thing here too? Could it be? Many people present recognized this big black guy. Iron Man and Captain America met in the screening room, and Spider-Man #1, called Toby Spider at the beginning. #2 is Super Spider. Garfield Spider is also okay, is even more intimate with this guy. He is afraid of sonic waves. Toby Spider said quickly, use steel pipes. I used steel pipes to hit the big bell on the church, to drive it off my body. What era is it still using such a traditional method? The Ultimate Spider flipped his left hand and directly called out the sonic boom spiderweb. Iron Man was not to be outdone and aimed the sonic boom bomb in the mecha at Venom. Seeing this, the steel spider legs behind the Ultimate Spider instantly switched, and more sonic weapons were aimed at Venom. Iron Man saw this, and snapped his fingers, and Bumblebee turned out sonic cannons with both hands and accurately locked Venom and rolled up. Oh no, damn it. Venom wanted to escape, but this small alley was surrounded by a group of Spider-Man, several Avengers, a Cybertron robot and a bunch of Kamatage's great wizards. He couldn't run away. Venom never thought that he was just a waste in the symbiote, but he would be treated like this one day. Venom, man, let me do it. Eddie knew that any action of Venom might irritate the other party. Only if he, a human, came forward to plead and explain, could Venom not be blasted into pieces by these big guys. Venom didn't say a word, but his body was very solid and exposed Eddie's face. Everyone, listen to my explanation. Venom is a little ugly, but he is a very good person. He will not hurt anyone. He has kept all the meat chickens I bought for him as pets. Toby Spider asked tentatively, are you Eddie? Yes, I'm Eddie. Eddie Brock. It seems that you are Eddie from another world. Is there Spider-Man in your world? No, this is really not my world. Listen Eddie, the symbiote in your body is very dangerous. You must separate from him. Toby Spider shot out a spider silk to pull Eddie out of Venom, while the Ultimate Spider took the lead and launched the Sonic Boom Spider Web. The Sonic Boom Spider Web caused great damage to Venom, and Venom and Eddie were separated for a while. Tony Spider seized this opportunity and shot out a spider silk to pull Eddie out of Venom. Venom, who lost Eddie, instantly turned into a pool of mud and lay on the ground under the attack of the Sonic Boom Spider Web and lost the ability to move for a while. No, Venom. Eddie watched Venom fall down, anxious and desperately trying to break free from Toby Spider's hand and return to Venom. Let me go. Venom can't survive on Earth without me. He will die. You are murdering me. Listen to me, Eddie. Toby Spider grabbed Eddie tightly and said, you in my world also merged with Venom. When I finally pulled him out of Venom, only a skeleton was left. He was eaten up by Venom. Eddie was stunned, but Venom, who was lying on the ground at this moment, tried his best to conjure up a face, completely ignoring the sonic cannon that could send him to heaven with one move, and roared at Toby Spider, bullshit. I won't eat Eddie. I love him. Iron Man stopped Bumblebee from attacking, and he and Captain looked at each other, a little unsure of the current situation. Everyone in the parallel universe will have different looks and personalities, and if there are different Venoms, it is no exception. In some universes, Venom is evil and a man-eating monster, but there are also Venoms who sacrifice themselves to recreate the universe for Eddie and organic life, and they have seen such Venoms. Even, perhaps among the current Spider-Men, there is a universe created by Venom who sacrificed himself. Seeing this, Toby Spider was undecided for a moment. The Venom in their world can't speak for himself, let alone say the word love. Seeing Venom getting weaker and weaker, Eddie grabbed Toby Spider's hand and begged, I think there must be some misunderstanding, but Venom is really dying. Let me save him. I will answer you all questions truthfully later, okay? Please, Venom is a great hero who saved my Earth. A superhero. He is in the same industry as you Avengers. Toby Spider still let go of his hand, and Eddie hurried to Venom and reached out his hand. The black mucus reattached to Eddie's body. With Eddie as a host, Venom's injuries finally stopped worsening. Eddie, you're wrong. What are you talking about? It wasn't me who saved your planet, it was us. Eddie smiled knowingly. Thanks, buddy. But you hesitated just now, didn't you, bastard? You hesitated when you heard that I would eat you, didn't you? Listen to my explanation. Just wait, you're done when we get home. I'm going to cut your motorcycle into pieces. Chapter 783, when the Giant of Light meets the Hulk. Calm down, Hulk. Nexter grabbed Hulk's arms tightly. Hulk's strength was beyond Nexter's expectations. It was too terrifying. He had fought so many beasts infected with alien factors, and even fought with real aliens, but even that alien didn't have such terrifying power as Hulk. They hate Hulk. Hulk is angry. Hulk, who was taken to the sky, tried hard to take back the control from Nexter. Although he was shocked by Hulk's terrifying power, Nexter's power was still no problem to suppress Hulk, who was not crazy. But Hulk, the damage you cause when you are angry will only make them hurt you more and hate you, right? Nexus did not attack roughly, but patiently persuaded and guided Hulk. Hulk's struggle obviously decreased after hearing this. Seeing this, Nexus immediately guided him. Hulk, what do you think of Banner? Banner, hate it, Hulk. Speaking of Banner, Hulk's mood obviously dropped. As two personalities in the same body, although they cannot communicate with each other, they can sense each other. Hulk cannot understand the too complicated human world, but he can feel his emotions from Banner, the person closest to him. Fear, hatred. This is what Hulk experienced from Banner. As a new personality, although Hulk shared some of Banner's memories, his heart was not mature. He could not understand why Banner, as his closest person, hated him. So Hulk could only vent his emotions with anger, just like almost all expressions of babies are carried out through crying. But he is Hulk. He is a Hulk. The lethality caused by the crying of babies is an absolute torture for any team of new parents, and the crying of the Hulk is a disaster for the whole world. Then do you want Banner to like you? Facing Nexter's question, Hulk nodded repeatedly. Then, if I have a way to make you a superhero in the eyes of ordinary people like the other Avengers, do you want to do that? Hulk, I want to be a hero too. A grid-like glass patterns instantly unfolded under Nexter's feet, and then the barrier opened, and Nexter brought Hulk to a brand new world. Hulk, this is the mirror world. Nexter introduced Hulk enthusiastically. In the mirror world, no matter what kind of destruction, it will not affect, and there are no people. Everyone is afraid of you and hates you, not because you are the Hulk, but because you can't control your own power. Nexter handed a bicycle to Hulk and said, you take it. In Hulk's hand, the poor bicycle changed its shape instantly. Many human things, including ordinary people themselves, are no different from this bicycle in your hands. That's why they are harming you. They are just afraid that you will break things. So as long as you can learn to control your strength, you can become a superhero accepted by everyone. Hulk, be a hero. Then the first step is to learn to control your temper. Can Hulk do it? Hulk, yes. Hulk shouted loudly and successfully shattered all the glass in this commercial street. Looking at the glass around him that was broken by his shouting, Hulk showed a look of regret on his face. It's okay, Hulk. The things here will automatically recover. Look. Hulk looked in the direction of Peter, and sure enough, the shattered glass floated in the air again and gradually began to recover. Seeing this scene, Hulk laughed, laughing like a teenager who didn't know how many tons. We haven't introduced ourselves yet. Peter took the initiative to exit the next state, and in the form of an ordinary person, he extended a hand to Hulk. My name is Peter Parker. From Queens, New York, now the inheritor and fit person of Noah's Light. This action is called a handshake, which is used to show friendship. My name is Hulk. Hulk also smiled and stretched out a hand. I live in Banner. A huge green palm and Peter's hand overlapped together. The next second Hulk's eyes became blurred, his body shrank, and switched back to Banner's body. Oh, sorry. Seeing that he was holding Peter's hand, Banner quickly pulled his hand back. His impression of Peter was more of an ordinary student. When Tony was not there, Tony's laboratory was almost rebuilt by Dr. Banner alone. After the fifth live broadcast to the screening room, Banner had no interest in watching it. Basically, Banner would only pay attention to him when he appeared. Hulk didn't hurt you, did he? I still can't control it. It's okay, Doctor. I had a very pleasant communication with the Hulk. communicated with the Hulk. Dr. Banner showed a puzzled look on his face and made a gesture of monster screaming and pleasantly. Aren't the meanings of these words in your world different from ours? No, the same. I think maybe you should talk to the Hulk. Talk? Sorry, you may not know the situation. The Hulk is a big monster that can only howl, you know? The kind of. Drive Banner. Peter put his hand gently on Dr. Banner's shoulder to calm Dr. Banner's excited heart. He told Dr. Banner, I have seen countless kinds of monsters, and I have also seen those truly irrational monsters whose only purpose of birth is to terrify people. Their name is Xenomorph. I admit that I'm not sure about the Hulk's situation, because I know nothing about the Hulk. But after a brief exchange, I can be sure that Hulk's anger does not include the desire to destroy the outside world. Hulk gives me the feeling of a child crying because he can't get what he wants. Ordinary children crying can't cause much damage, but Hulk with great strength can. And people are afraid of Hulk, so they attacked him, right? Dr. Banner nodded. He had been hunted for a long time because of Hulk. General Ross prepared a lot of artillery fire for him every time. Although it was just scraping for Hulk, as a human being, he was very afraid of artillery in the early stage. If Hulk had his own memory and cognition as he guessed, he would also be afraid of artillery shells at first, but he could play with main battle tanks as Lego toys, so he directly attacked such things. Then there was a vicious cycle again and again, and finally it evolved into what it is now. Dr. Banner is not Hulk. As a super boss with 8 doctoral degrees in science, Dr. Banner's logical thinking ability is top notch in the world. Under Peter's persuasion, he quickly realized the problem of Hulk's anger, and now Hulk has actually improved after his appearance. At least he can calm down his anger under Natasha's comfort. Of course, now it seems that there is another person who can do the same thing. Mr. Hickory said that the malice between people is indeed caused by the lack of communication to a large extent. If you have a chance, I think you should talk to Hulk. Questions Reading is really good at producing talents. There is someone there who forces a group of people to attack Venom indiscriminately. I can only suggest that you be parasitized by a parasite and almost go crazy, and then your colleague is eaten by the parasite until only a skeleton is left, and finally you meet another parasite that is almost exactly the same as that parasite, and do nothing honestly. Chapter 784, Asgard without internet. Avengers Tower. Venom bared his teeth at the group of people in anger. Well, you also came to this world because of something like a magical light. Tony integrated the information of all the visitors from other worlds. Although their identities, times, and even races were different, their ways of visiting were exactly the same. Do you mages have any clues about this kind of thing? Mordo shook his head. The king had already returned to Kamataj with many great mages. Now in this special period, Kamataj cannot be left unattended. If Master Ancient One is here, we might be able to consult her. Then the question is, where is Master Ancient One? I don't know. Master Ancient One left a note some time ago and left. We can't contact her. How come it's exactly the same as Thor's? The son of Odin left the world of Earth. Wait, this seems to coincide with the time when Master Ancient One left. Mordo said, Kamataj is relatively friendly to the son of Odin. As long as it's not his brother, everything is fine. Did the son of Odin say anything when he left Earth? Thor left in a hurry that day. Captain America said he only left a sentence that his father, the God King Odin, had an urgent call and left. God King Odin and the Supreme Sorcerer Ancient One. This happened at the same time. It's hard not to have doubts about this feeling. These two great gods are the protectors of the earth, and they are also the two strongest fighting forces in the 9 realms. If both of them leave, then the earth will really have no high-end fighting force to protect it. Can you contact Thor's hometown, Asgard, and use an owl to send a magic letter? Tony said, I read a novel in the screening room. The Magic Academy in the novel used owls to send letters. Instead of using owls to send letters, we might as well open a portal ourselves and run faster. Although Mordo complained, his body still honestly began to cast the spell. A few minutes later, Mordo opened his eyes. His brows were furrowed so tightly that they could pinch to death any mosquito that dared to stay there. I saw 2 mosquitoes flying there while I was typing. 2. No, we can't get in. Is Asgard's internet disconnected, or haven't paid the phone bill? Asgard is disconnected. Cough. Mordo, who was almost taken in by Tony, quickly corrected his grammatical errors. Asgard has cut off all contact with the outside world. Now even if we open a portal to Asgard, we can't get in. We can only stare blankly in front of Asgard's magic defense network. Only Master Ancient One has the ability to forcibly break into the current Asgard. In other words, now unless the Ancient One comes back, we can't get in with Asgard at all. But if we want the Ancient One to come back, we must find her first. But the best way to find her is to go to Asgard. Tony nodded and applauded with satisfaction, although his expression revealed everything without any concealment. Great. We have completed a perfect circle. In our official language, you should say Master Ancient One or Sorcerer Supreme. Seeing that the situation had reached a stalemate, the silent Ultimate Spider spoke up. Well, although I don't want to cooperate with you, I want to go home more. I have an idea. Everyone's eyes turned to the Ultimate Spider, and the Ultimate Spider's battle suit actually started to project the screen. Let me introduce myself. I'm Otto Octavius, you can call me Dr. Otto. My predecessor was Dr. Octopus, a villain. Yes, I have fought many of you here. In fact, not many of the Spider-Men present had fought with Dr. Octopus. Only Toby Worm, Benjamin Parker. Oh, that's it. My universe is very special. There are many superheroes and villains. The Avengers in your world is just a nice name compared to my world. The scale of your Avengers is just like an interest group. So what? What are you going to say? My world has superheroes and villains, as well as the Avengers. The scale of your Avengers, which only has a few people, cannot be compared with that of our world. In my world, in addition to various ordinary people who have gained mutated superpowers and heroes and villains who rely on technology, there are also mutants, inhumans and many other superpowered races. So in my world, there are you, Spider-Man and Venom. You can see now that we, the visitors from other worlds, have one thing in common. That is, we are all spiders. I'm not a spider. Venom raised his hand to refute. But in my world, you once possessed Spider-Man. Even if you are separated from Spider-Man, you still have Spider-Man's abilities. And the Peter Parker who can transform doesn't have spider abilities, but he is Peter Parker, and his girlfriend is still Spider-Man. The Ultimate Spider said. Obviously, someone is eyeing our identities as Spider-Man. As soon as these words came out, Captain America and Tony instantly became uneasy. The story of the Venom universe has just been staged. They remember the story of Venom and the Venoms. Could it be that a Spider-Man version of the Venom crisis is about to be staged again? Then we have to find out why the guy who summoned us to this world must keep targeting Spider-Man. Maybe they need your help to strengthen themselves. Tony said, I've seen another symbiote called Venom. They specialize in capturing Venom and then transforming Venom and the host into Venom. Who? Venom stopped staring at Spider-Ham and asked, I've never heard of a symbiote called Venom with this ability. Eddie also explained, in my world, Venom and his millions of people live on a meteorite. We also met a symbiote that looked a lot like Venom in the alley. I thought it was Venom's cousin. I said it's impossible for me to have such an irrational relative who screams like a beast. Okay, buddy, I'm just communicating the situation with them. In other words, they are targeting some ability of Spider-Man, or Spider-Man himself. Wait a minute, I suddenly feel that we have forgotten a very important key person. Who? Tony looked expressionlessly at a room that was being used as a makeshift interrogation room, and a name slowly came out of his mouth. Nick Fury. As for the timeline, it was all written by me. It was already a mess, so I didn't need to write one more line. Chapter 785. Speak. The light bulbs in the interrogation room were turned to maximum brightness. The dazzling light was a double blow to nocturnal creatures like vampires, both physically and psychologically. Speak up. What? The vampire asked in the strong light. What on earth are you talking about? Are you going to tell me or not? Nick Fury and Natasha were able to keep their composure, but the vampire was about to collapse. He was just a dead otaku, and it was a complete accident that he was transformed by a group of vampires. Even when he was a human, he mostly stayed at home playing games, not to mention becoming a vampire. He was particularly fond of reading vampire books at the time, and when he learned that there was a vampire anime theme exhibition, he finally plucked up the courage to go there and prepare to meet the painter he was fascinated with. Then, he was transformed into a vampire. The experience of becoming a vampire did not make him completely autistic. On the contrary, because of some physiological changes, plus the enhancement, beauty, and body shaping effects brought by the vampire factor, he became more popular. Although he is a loser among vampires, and he was not only a loser, but also a otaku when he was a human before, but after he became a vampire, and was brainwashed by the senior vampires, he finally found a pitiful sense of superiority. They are great blood clans, the Avengers, the billionaire genius scientist Tony Stark, aren't they all human? How can they be compared with the great blood clans? Even if he is just an ordinary blood clan, he is not comparable to a group of mortals. Because of the convert fanaticism effect, he looked down on humans more and more, and was bound to draw a clear line with humans. So when he learned that the radicals among the vampires were going to attack the human world, and there was something about the coming of the Bat Totem, he went directly to the battlefield, even though he didn't understand anything. Although the quality itself is not very good, due to the fanatical belief, the magic power he obtained is particularly outstanding among a group of Bat believers. After discovering this, the high-level vampires promoted him as an excellent case. All kinds of compliments were given to him, and all kinds of beautiful women who were also transformed into vampires stuck to him directly. Among them was the woman he wanted to take a photo with at the comic convention, but was driven away by the other party with a look of disgust. He had never been respected and treated like this before, so he was completely defeated in an instant. What human? He is a blood clan, a great blood clan. Even some high-level vampires have never seen such a thorough brainwashing of blood slaves, or brainwashing can hardly defeat such a fanatic. He is completely gifted. When he was selected to participate in the battle to attack New York, he was extremely excited. In his opinion, this is his opportunity. He will soon be appreciated through this battle, just like those novels in the East, and then climb all the way up, and finally become a blood clan prince, open a large harem, and live a good life. Then he was captured alive. In the first battle, he went to the battlefield with full confidence, feeling that he was just a human. So what if he was an Avenger? Then he was burned half of his body by a laser cannon fired by Bumblebee, and his former timidity and cowardice instantly surged into his heart. He turned around and ran without hesitation. At that time, Bumblebee was busy dealing with a large number of bats. Every shot was fired at the most densely populated area of bats. He had no energy to deal with a fleeing bat. Because Captain America, Hawkeye, and a group of vampire hunters brought by Blade were cleaning up the surroundings, Bumblebee's main task was to fire at the densest area and then hand over the injured to his teammates to harvest. This guy rushed too fast and was hit by a cannon just after the battle began. Then he escaped before the encirclement was fully formed. After flying for a long time, he crashed into an ordinary family when he was exhausted. He wanted to show his majesty as a vampire and let the group of humans obediently offer blood. Unexpectedly, the man not only did not surrender, but also dared to fight back. He is a vampire, a great vampire. Death penalty. A mere human dared to resist the great vampires. This is a death penalty. Then he was captured by a giant emitting light. Then he was brought to this place for interrogation. The giant radiating light didn't know how he did it. Anyway, he couldn't turn into a bat and escape, so he could only accept this humiliation. He swore that when the Great Blood Clan army arrived, he would kill all the humans here. No, Black Widow could stay and be his slave. In those novels, Nick Fury knocked on the table to interrupt the vampire's fantasy. He temporarily used one of the fine traditions of mankind, the repeater. He said nothing, but asked the vampire the same question over and over again. Speak. The vampire finally collapsed under the stimulation of the strong light. What are you talking about? Tell me what you want me to say. What's your name? Shakri French. Who are you? Didn't I tell you? Shakri French. Speak. Shakri French. Just when Shakri was about to commit suicide, Natasha took over the conversation. Okay Nick, you go out, I'll ask. Nick Fury left with Shakri's murderous eyes, and Janitor began her own questioning. Age. 22. Where was your home before you became a vampire? Texas. Why did you come to New York? Because I want to attack humans. Because of Nick Fury's background. When Shukri faced Natasha's questioning mode, he was open to talk about everything. Natasha even felt that Nick Fury was a little too steady. He was just an ordinary person with no training. There was no need to waste so much effort on these interrogation routines. Just a few more threats would make the other party confess everything. Outside, Nick Fury, who had just come out, was planning to drink some water and then go back to give the other party invisible pressure, but was stopped by a group of people and asked about vampires. I have told you all the information I know about vampires. This is really not credible when it comes from the mouth of an agent chief. Why don't you ask the Wizards of Camotage? They took away all the copies of my information. Didn't they analyze anything? They have the internet and phones. If it doesn't work, they can send emails. Mordo squeezed out of the crowd, looking puzzled. Chapter 786 Blood War. So, at that time, Master Ancient One went to you to ask for some information? Mordo had no idea about this. He had no way of grasping Ancient One's movements. He even learned about the last time he saw Ancient One on Earth from an ordinary person like Nick Fury. That's right. Nick Fury, who discovered the information gap, also said, at that time, the Ancient One came to me and asked for some rituals about the coming of the Bat God, and then left. The emotion on his face was helplessness and exhaustion. But, why? After comparing the time, Mordo felt that he had discovered a blind spot. This time is the time when Master Ancient One left Camotage. Master Ancient One has never come back since then. In other words, it is very likely that the departure of the Ancient One is inseparable from the coming of the Bat God. Now we already know that the so-called Bat God is actually the Bat Totem. So why did the Ancient One leave? And the time when the Ancient One left was almost the same as when Thor left the Earth. Could it be that the Bat Totem is so powerful that it can make the Father level Ancient One and Odin escape? Impossible. Mordo scolded. Master Ancient One will never escape. In the past 300 years, Master Ancient One has protected the Earth and repelled countless dimensional demons who were eyeing the Earth. Seeing that they were about to quarrel again, everyone could only separate them. Is there a Peter Parker in your world, or someone similar, with Spider-Man's abilities? Yes. Tony and Captain America nodded, and Tony said, but according to the time, Peter Parker now should be just a child, maybe still in elementary school. I think I should know where Peter Parker is in this world. Gwen raised her hand and said, when Peter and I first came to this world, Peter took me to a residential building in Queens and saved a family of 3 from the mouth of a vampire. He said to the little boy at the time, nice to meet you, Peter Parker. Eastern Europe. In the top level conference room of a very modern commercial building, many handsome men and beautiful women gathered in this conference room. The people here have one thing in common, that is, no matter whether they are old or young, they all look very good. A man sitting on the left shouted angrily, you bunch of idiots. Your heads are all muscles. You are primitive people who have not evolved at all. Underground blood demons that have turned into beasts. What on earth were you thinking? Our plan was about to succeed, but you insisted on taking action and disrupting everything. Watch your words, Dice Barrach. Another man on the right said coldly, we are the great vampires. Don't use human-related words like primitive to describe me. This time, I'll remember it. Dice was so angry that he laughed. It was such a time and these stupid radicals were still arguing here. Enough. Dice took a deep breath and said, Jamil, I'm too lazy to argue with you about this. You must give us an explanation today. You originally agreed to the infiltration plan, and after years of infiltration, except for very few countries, other countries that can speak in the world have been infiltrated by us to a greater or lesser extent. We can't interfere with the former Soviet Union and Germany, and now the ancient Eastern countries. We can only intervene in America. After so many years, we have. The Blood Clan called Jamil interrupted Dice's speech. He said, our path is correct. You cowards will only lead the great Blood Clan to desolation. Times have changed. Jamal. Dice roared. Can you wake up a little? Humans now have too many powerful weapons. Once a nuclear bomb falls, unless the ancestor returns, everyone will end up in ashes. Don't tell me they don't dare. What is there for them to not dare? When the aliens invaded, they threw one at Manhattan in the center of New York without saying a word. Jamal still maintained that calmness, that no one knew where it came from. Didn't you push them to drop nuclear bombs on Manhattan? Who would believe this? That's right. Di slammed the table fiercely. This is exactly the terrifying thing about that group of humans. Do you know how readily those humans agreed when my bloodline brought up this matter at the meeting? They just need someone to take the blame. The best of my bloodline has already occupied a place in America, the strongest human country. In another 400 or 500 years, humans will be completely controlled by us in secret. Jamal, can't you even wait for a mere 300 or 500 years? I can't wait. Jamal also roared, I'm more than 1,000 years old this year, and I have experienced the most glorious moments of the Blood Clan. Back then, we foraged for food at will, and humans could only tremble under the Darkwings. Some humans are even proud to be our food. What happened? I just took a nap, and the world has changed so much. What did you weak, eggless bastards do? You actually signed that bullshit treaty with humans. Our people can no longer fly freely at midnight, and even the mortals in this world think that we are just legends. Our food has now become the master of the world. The fragile ants that were originally our food dominate this world. This world is sick. I'm getting it back on track. Your arrogance is incredible to me. Don't you know that the Avengers completely wiped out the team you sent out in New York? It doesn't matter. I just want a sacrifice. Dai shook his head. He knew that there was no need to talk today. The other party had no intention of continuing the conversation. His thoughts were completely stuck in the past few hundred years. Discussing the current world with an old antique with a mind that was hundreds of years old is completely unpleasant. As for the so-called bad believer, in Dai's view, it was just a cover to deceive the new blood race. He has lived longer than Jamal, and he has never heard of the Bat Totem. In Dai's opinion, Jamal jumped like that because the ancestor had disappeared. If the ancestor was here, this heresy would only end with being burned to death. I now announce the judgment of the Council of Elders. Dais took out an ancient parchment scroll and prepared to end this farce. According to the judgment of the Council of Elders, Jamal Sinmore has destroyed the great plan of our clan. Now everything is banned. Before Dais finished speaking, he was pierced through the chest by a silver spear. Dais looked at Jamal in front of him in disbelief. He never expected that Jamal would be so crazy. In an instant, killing broke out. All the moderate blood clans of Dais were immediately slaughtered by Jamal's radicals, or should we call them bad believers? Idiot. Looking at Dais who fell to the ground and turned into ashes, Jamal's eyes were full of disdain. You don't understand at all. The great successor is about to come. He will lead us to regain the glory of the Blood Clan. We will share this world with him. Chapter 787, Grouping. This is it. A group of weirdos in strange costumes came to Queens under the leadership of Iron Man. They gathered together to observe the family of three. Ben Parker, May, and Peter Parker. The faces of the group of Spider-Men were not very good, and Benjamin Parker was the ugliest. He was experiencing a midlife crisis, and looked at the happy and carefree little Peter Parker, and Uncle Ben who was still in this world. Don't mention what kind of turmoil in his heart. So far, this child can be said to have a life very similar to some of you. His parents died when he was young, and now he lives with his uncle and aunt, who treat him very well. You can say that this template can be applied to most Spider-Men, and even Batman. Okay, but what's so special about us? It's special enough that a bunch of spiders gather together. Tony complained mercilessly. You can all form a new superhero to stop it. Let me think about it. What about the Spider family? It doesn't sound good at all. Natasha. Captain America began to contact Black Widow through the communication equipment. How is it? Did you find out anything useful? It's a pity. Natasha switched shifts with Nick amid chakras, vampire, screams. Although our kid is very powerful, his luck and fortune are not very good. He caught a vampire of worthless value. Could it be that the other party hid it too well and received some professional training? Probably not. We found his personal information before he became a vampire. He was an ordinary person with no training at all. He was transformed at a vampire-themed comic convention a few weeks ago. Rather than making me believe that it only takes a few weeks to train an elite agent that Nick and I can't get anything out of, I would rather believe that this is some kind of magic, or that he really doesn't know anything. He starts crying loudly when he sees Nick. Do you want to listen, Captain? Forget it. If he really has no intelligence value, what are you going to do? Let's try the medicine. We have to find out how vampires transform humans. No. Shukri panicked when he heard this. He begged, don't turn me back into a human. Turn me back into that ghost appearance. I'm very happy as a vampire now. Do you think you have the right to negotiate with us? The Ultimate Spider also connected to the channel through the spider robot left behind. He said to Shukri, it seems that you are very happy as a vampire, Shukri. Don't worry, we are a kind country that respects human rights. We will not kill you, but will turn you from a vampire back into a human. We will change you back to your original appearance and let you return to your previous life. No. Aren't you respecting human rights? You are not respecting my freedom. But you are not a human now. Wait until you turn back into a human, and then talk to us about human rights. Killing people must also destroy their hearts, brother. Ultimate Spider shrugged. He could tell at a glance that Shukri's mentality was completely due to the unsatisfactory human life, which made him more nostalgic for the vampire identity that brought him a different life. So what should we do? Just watch here? The current little Peter Parker has not shown any ability of Spider-Man. I don't think we need to waste time on him. Ultimate Spider said, the arrival of the Bat Totem and the appearance of our group of Spider-Man on this earth are almost the same. Maybe if we catch the group of vampire bats that are messing around behind the scenes, we can figure out why we came to this world. But where should we find them? I think I can make a detector that can distinguish between humans and vampires, and then use satellite monitoring to directly find the vampire base. Coincidentally, I have a similar system here. Although the equipment is damaged, I can use Stark Enterprises' private satellite to scan the world. Tony, you are not talking about. That's right, Captain, it's the Inside Project. Then let's get started. I'll help too. Penny Parker raised her hand and said, I'll go investigate the symbiote that appeared in the alley before. Shadow Spider-Man said, although I don't know what the symbiote is like, it's not a good thing to let an alien life lurk on Earth. I'll go too. After listening to Venom's description, Toby Spider felt that the symbiote that appeared in the alley was very similar to Venom in his own world, so he had to go and take a look. And me. Venom roared, if it weren't for you, I would have beaten that fake guy up a long time ago. You don't have targeted weapons. It's very dangerous to face the symbiote. Ultimate Spider frowned, but Spider-Man in the PS world opened his ammunition depot from his bag, who said there is no. I have a lot of ammunition here, enough to deal with Venom. I'm Venom. That guy is just a fake. Shh, keep your voice down. Seeing that Venom almost made the surrounding residents howl with his voice, Eddie hurriedly calmed Venom's emotions. Let's do something. How about patrolling? Spider-Ham's proposal was approved by everyone, because their man went out with a big guy and hasn't come back yet. Gwen also joined the patrol. Then I'll go and mobilize the people. Hawkeye said, although the mothership of S.H.I.E.L.D. has exploded, there are still many helpers. I'll see if I can call a few. Then I'll go and fight crime too. Toei Spider joined the patrol without hesitation. Count me in. The Amazing Spider-Man also joined the patrol, and 2099 Spider-Man followed the technology team. He felt that he came from 2099, and his technology would definitely help them. Now there was only one Spider-Man left who hadn't made a choice. Benjamin Parker hesitated a little. He actually wanted to stay here and see the Parker family more. Toby saw Benjamin's distress, so he took the initiative to say, now we are not sure whether the sacrifice needed by the vampires is Peter Parker of this world. Otherwise, let's leave one person to guard here. I'll stay. Benjamin raised his hand directly. Seeing the eyes of the crowd, he was a little embarrassed, but he still didn't put his hand down. Miles, you stay here too. Miles, wearing a cheap spider suit, obviously had no choice but to agree. I will organize the evacuation of the citizens of New York City. Captain America said, vampires will definitely attack again, and the firepower next time will definitely be more fierce than this time. We must try our best to evacuate the citizens of New York City. Then the tasks are assigned. Let's go. Captain, why don't you shout a slogan? Avengers and Spider-Man, assemble. Chapter 788, Divine Envoy. The three-person Spider team consisting of Venom, Toby Spider, Shadow Spider-Man and PS Spider-Man is ready to start the investigation from the previous alley. You are actually a detective. This should have been mentioned in the introduction of the weirdo in red tights. Sorry, I wasn't paying enough attention at the time. Okay, then let me introduce myself again. My name is Peter Parker, and I'm from 1933. My country encountered an economic crisis. According to your history, my world was in the Great Depression. Don't ask me why I know this, and I don't know how they flew into my mind. My uncle and aunt are both Marxists. They give speeches on the streets and spread Marxism. Until one day, my uncle disappeared, and when I found him, only half of his body was left. Maybe everyone present was Peter Parker. Maybe it was because they had just seen Uncle Ben of this world. Or maybe these Peter Parkers had more or less the same experience as himself. The silent Shadow Spider-Man opened the chatterbox, activated the chatterbox DNA engraved in every Spider-Man, and began to tell his own story continuously. Yes, half a body with marks of binding. And a body torn into pieces by wild dogs. And the one who did it is called Norman Osborn, nicknamed Green Goblin. Green Goblin again. When Toby Spider heard this name, he recalled the bad fate between himself and the Osborn family. Is there a Green Goblin in your world? Yes, but it may be different from your world. You continue to talk. Green Goblin is an ordinary person, but he has some weirdos under him, and those weirdos are quite powerful. In addition, he is also a gang boss, helping the government do dirty work. Hearing this, Eddie had almost guessed the whole story. What do you mean almost? Venom asked puzzledly in Eddie's mind. Why do you humans like to speak in riddles so much? Venom. Eddie smiled helplessly and said in his mind, sometimes you symbiotes give me a very simple feeling. What Spider-Man meant is very clear. The laws of America stipulate that every citizen has the right to speak and march, so the government cannot let the police intervene to stop Ben and May from speaking on the streets at the time. So what? So, what does the police and the government have to do with gang murders? Spider-Man leaned against the wall of the alley. He raised his head and wanted to look at the moon, but the dim clouds did not let down a single ray of light. After Uncle Ben died, I went to work at the Daily Bugle with the help of my uncle's friend, Ben Urich. Although he had many bad habits, including pornography, gambling and drugs, he was my mentor and friend. He taught me many survival skills and even saved me and Aunt May. Later, while investigating a smuggling case, I was bitten by a spider, so I became Spider-Man. After gaining power, I went to take revenge on Osborn, but failed. I found the battlesuit that Uncle Ben had worn during the World War and transformed it into the spider suit I have today. I took to the streets and declared war on the Green Goblin. I also knew that my own strength was definitely not enough, so I wanted to ask Urich for help. But Urich was dead in his own apartment. The police investigation found that he was shot 8 times in the back and committed suicide. Ha 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 ha. He was shot 8 times in the back, but it was suicide. Shadow Spider-Man relied on the wall behind him to prevent himself from falling down. Whenever he thought of that night, whenever he recalled the police's conclusion, Shadow Spider-Man laughed, not knowing whether he was laughing at himself or at his own world. I didn't even get to see him for the last time. His body was taken away and buried. I got a lot of information about the Green Goblin from Urich's old lover, including the dates of operations and the personnel information of his men. With the help of that information, I put on a spider suit at night and went to the streets to fight crime. I specifically targeted the Green Goblin's idiots and men. I'm not a saint. I have my own selfish desires. Everything I did was for revenge. I killed the vulture who wanted to attack Aunt May. Aunt May told me not to let me be consumed by revenge and anger and asked me to give her the gun, but I didn't listen. You killed someone. Toby Spider and PS Spider were very surprised. Although it was inevitable to see blood when beating people, they had never killed anyone. Yes, I killed Vulture. I killed a lot of people. They all deserved it. Oh my god, man. Toby Spider and PS Spider both wanted to dissuade Shadow Spider-Man, but Venom interrupted at this time and said, "What's wrong with killing people? Since they dare to kill people, they should be prepared to be killed. I really don't understand what kind of mess you humans are thinking about. Eddie is right. I shouldn't consider eating your brains. You not only kill people, but you also eat people. That's right, you are Venom." Seeing that the atmosphere was wrong again, Shadow Spider-Man didn't care about telling his story because he found that something seemed to appear around him. Not only Shadow Spider-Man, but the spider senses of the three Spider-Men sounded at the same time. Something is coming. Venom climbed onto Eddie's body and protected Eddie. He asked, "What's wrong? Are you going to fight?" "No, Venom, it should be you who are going to fight us." Bang. The manhole cover was opened, and a ferocious rat with only black slime rushed out and bit the three-man spider team. "What is this?" Toby Spider shot out a spider web to cover a group of rats, but more rats rushed out of the sewer. Shadow Spider-Man took out his pistol and aimed at the rats and shot, but he didn't kill many rats even after a magazine was emptied. "Get out of the way, let me do it." Venom stood in front of everyone, and the slime on his body rolled towards the group of rats. In the special area that the three people couldn't see, Venom and the slime on the rats started a new confrontation. "Who are you?" Venom asked the other party angrily through the unique communication method of the symbiote, the messenger of God. Venom's question only received a riddle-like answer, and then he killed all the symbiote rats, turned his head, and said to the three people, "Follow me, I found his trace." Then, Venom jumped directly into the sewer, followed by two spiders, and Shadow Spider-Man took a photo of the surrounding environment and jumped in. In the streets and alleys of New York, figures are flying here. I wrote a Spider-Gwen origin story later. I feel that the description of such a macro scene can be short, but it is a bit difficult for me to write it long. I revised the content about Miles in the first few chapters repeatedly and finally revised it almost. Shopping for groceries. I was writing just now, and the inspiration came. I dare not go. If I go, I will definitely forget it. I will lose a lot if I forget it. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 789. Gwen is tired. Several Spider-Men gathered together. Gwen looked at a silent super spider, Miles in a simple and cheap spider suit, Benjamin Parker with a decadent face, and Toby Spider-Man who ran away and screamed and felt helpless. Gwen sighed. She never expected that the most reliable teammate among her group of teammates was actually a spider bitten by a pig. The remaining 5, Toby Spider-Man, said those strange slogans and went out to work alone. The more Gwen looked at him, the more he felt that his spider silk looked like hemp rope. Super Spider kept his microphone off and didn't want to speak. Gwen obviously felt that he was worried about something. And women's intuition has a predictive ability far beyond spider sense in terms of emotions, so Gwen guessed that Super Spider kept his microphone off because of her. Miles, what can I say? He can't even spin silk, and he doesn't have any equipment. The battle suit on his body looks like it was bought from the roadside, and he was cheated by the unscrupulous boss. The one he bought was too small and couldn't be returned. Not to mention Benjamin's decadent face. Okay guys, we have to cheer up, both for going home and for the peace of this universe. Benjamin Parker sighed and asked, I have heard this phrase countless times. Aren't you going on patrol? Go, 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 hurry up. The amazing Spider-Man continued to mute his microphone, while Porco asked, is there any hot dog seller here? You are a pig. Is it really okay to eat hot dogs? I'm a spider. Wait. Hot dogs in your world are made of pork. Porco rolled his eyes and fainted. Gwen really wanted to turn around and leave, but she felt that she should still try harder. Okay, let me introduce myself. Gwen took a deep breath and said, Gwen Stacy, in my world, I was bitten by a genetically mutated spider and turned into Spider-Man. That's it. Little girl, everyone here has had similar experiences as you, so you don't have to say anything. Benjamin Parker seemed to be opened up and started chattering. It's just like what every Spider-Man has to go through. Getting bitten, turning into Spider-Man, and then fighting criminals, upholding justice, and constantly losing, and losing in the process. Over and over again. I have lived like this for more than 30 years. I thought he just didn't like to talk. Miles looked at Benjamin Spider, who was complaining endlessly, and counted. In my world, Spider-Man can always talk endlessly when fighting criminals. My predecessor, Spider-Man, Peter Parker, he was attacked by the Sinister Six, and finally died in the sneak attack of the rampaging Green Goblin. But at that time, I already had some of Spider-Man's abilities, but I didn't help him, because I didn't dare. Miles had a crudely made spider mask on his face, which he bought from an unscrupulous old merchant when he was commemorating Spider-Man. I was very scared at that time. Spider-Man could easily face the green demon who was as big as a mountain, while I could only hide and tremble. Hearing this, the chattering Benjamin calmed down. The fate of each Spider-Man is not very good. Some are quite bad. The Sinister Six. Benjamin smiled self-deprecatingly and nodded, saying, "It's them again. Can't there be some new tricks? What about your world? Are there also the Sinister Six? Mysterio, Dr. Octopus, Electro, Sandman, Kraven the Hunter and Vulture. By the way, in my world, they finally expanded to 12. Seeing that the amazing Spider continued to mute, Gwen also took the initiative to tell her own story. Although Gwen has not been Spider-Man for a long time, every battle she fights is more thrilling, because her side story is to protect the peace of New York and fight against the genetically mutated monsters and Frankenstein, and her main story is to follow Peter, to fight against the alien beasts. Under the high pressure, Gwen has been able to be calm in battle. Me. Gwen's eyes are full of memories. She has been Spider-Man for a short time, but in this short year, she has experienced too many bizarre things. I was just an ordinary little girl. One day, I was bitten by a genetically mutated spider at an Osborn Enterprises exhibition, and then I became Spider-Man. Do you know, Miles? Gwen told Miles about her second battle with the alien beasts. A kind of monster appeared in my world, and my Peter called them alien beasts. Hearing the word my Peter, the extraordinary spider bowed his head again. That group of monsters was really scary. The first time I met the alien beast was at school. I was planning to go to the school to help Peter clean up, but a spider-like alien beast broke into the school. I was scared and anxious at the time, but Peter was there, and so was the unlucky lightning. I wanted to escape. I really wanted to escape, but I really risked my life to save Peter. Thinking of what happened next, Gwen showed an admiring look on her face. In the end, I thought I was very powerful, but Peter was even more powerful. He directly beat the alien beast to death. Later, we encountered the alien beast two-headed rat on the street. Unlike the spider demon, the two-headed rat was more powerful. It was Peter who blocked the two-headed rat at the time, and I went to find reinforcement. It's said to be upholding justice, but in fact, I'm just a little girl following behind Peter. The one who really destroyed the alien beast was Peter. But I didn't give up my power because of this. I was thinking, maybe I can't destroy those terrible monsters, but I can help defeat some bad guys in New York City, which can make Peter a little more relaxed. He is already very tired dealing with the alien beasts. I hope I can only help a little, even if it's insignificant. Miles, you don't have to be anyone. You are yourself. Gwen thought it would be better to start with the easier persuasion. You don't have to imitate him, but you can be him. Don't you think there's something wrong with what you said? Well, what I mean is, you don't have to deliberately follow Peter's requirements to be yourself. Peter is Peter, and you are you, but you can be the next Spider-Man, the next superhero. A hero who is different from Spider-Man, but inherits his will. Spider-Man has left a deep impression on you, right? Yeah. Peter once told me that the greater the power, the greater the responsibility. I've heard this, too. Uncle Ben told me. Me too. Don't look at me. The awakened Spider-Ham Walker looked at a group of large monkeys, indicating that he was just a spider. Okay, but Peter also told me the second meaning of this sentence. We should not be sad about things that we can't do. Gwen swallowed her saliva and prepared to start her first journey as a psychological mentor in her life. He said that with great ability comes great responsibility. So, if there is something we can't do, we should not be sad about it. We should work hard to accomplish what we can do, and do it well. This is another meaning of the saying, that with great ability comes great responsibility. Chapter 790, Gwen's story. Gwen's explanation attracted the attention of 3 people, who had never thought about it in this way. The alien beast is very scary. Every cell must be completely purified to kill it completely. Otherwise, even if only one cell is left, the alien beast will be resurrected again, and become stronger, if it is given enough time and food. I once ran away from the battle against the two-headed rat, leaving Peter alone to face the terrifying monster. At that time, Peter was just an ordinary person with some superpowers. He had not yet transformed into the power of the Giant of Light. Peter finally killed the two-headed rat, but he was seriously injured, and went to the hospital. I felt very guilty at the time, but Peter comforted me, and said that the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. He has the ability to kill the alien beast, so killing the alien beast is his responsibility, but I don't, so I don't need to be sad about it. I know that Peter is comforting me. In fact, I think your Peter must not blame you. The extraordinary spider cheered up and finally opened the microphone. I think he is not only comforting you. You are right. The greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. After saying this, the extraordinary spider turned off again. Gwen was not angry about the super spider interrupting her, but happy. Interruptions are not a big deal. The most frightening thing is silence. As long as you speak, it means you can communicate, and as long as you can communicate, there is hope. After that, I didn't appear as Spider-Woman for a long time. I was just an ordinary student in school, going to school, and coming home every day, and shopping with Peter on weekends. But New York City seemed to have entered a whole new era, with all kinds of monsters and criminals emerging one after another. My dad was the chief of the police department. After the birth of Spider-Woman and the Giant of Light, my dad kept working overtime, and he went home with injuries several times. Although he concealed it very well, my mom and I found out. We both knew each other's secrets, but we also knew that the other party didn't want to make us worry, so we always pretended that nothing happened. Until one day, a giant alien beast appeared in the city. Peter transformed into the Giant of Light and brought the alien beast to the vicinity of the school to start fighting. With the appearance of the alien beast, a large number of monsters also poured out of the sewers. These monsters have the bodies of rats and the scales of lizards. Not only are there a large number of them, but they are also extremely ferocious. I watched the news and was particularly scared, but at that moment I suddenly understood one thing. If I sit here waiting, then there will only be one girl in the world anxiously waiting for her father to come back. And I don't know how she will come back. But if Spider-Woman reappears, then perhaps more girls who are waiting for their fathers to come home will not be disappointed. That day, Spider-Woman appeared in the night of New York City after getting a kiss from her mother. My dad was deceived badly. He still doesn't know that the Spider-Woman who stole his job and whom he complains about all day long is his good daughter. After Gwen finished her story, she smiled and said to Miles, "I have never fought with a real alien, because I know that monsters that are dozens of meters long and weigh tens of thousands of tons are not something I can deal with. But when I put on Spider-Woman's combat uniform again, I have 2 identities, Gwen and Spider-Woman, and I have never abandoned either of them. But you have the courage to go on stage, but I don't." Miles still couldn't raise his head, and after listening to Spider-Gwen's story, he felt even more useless. "But Miles, it's nothing, man," Spider-Man said. "Each of us has an adaptation process. After I gained superpowers, the first thing I did was not to be a hero and become New York City's good neighbor Spider-Man. Instead, I went to the underground boxing ring to make money by pretending to fight, and I even killed my Uncle Ben because of it. But people have to grow up." Spider-Man walked over and put his hand on Miles' shoulder. He looked at Miles' 2 eyes that showed through the small holes in the mask. After thinking about it, he took off the mask on his head, revealing his vicissitudes of life and a hint of decadence. "I believe that, if my world still exists, it will definitely believe that you can become another Spider-Man. Miles, life is very short. It is considered a long life for an ordinary person to live to be 100 years old. No matter whether a person is poor or rich, noble or humble, they are all equal in the face of death. Even if a person is noble and rich like Mr. Tony Stark, they will eventually face death. Then what do you think? Since people are born to die, why do we still live? Faced with a sudden philosophical question, the three men were silent. Girl, are you still in the philosophy department? Because we want to leave something for this world. Life is short, but we can leave a long-lasting mark on this world. Spider-Man in your world has sacrificed his life, but millions of people can become Spider-Man. It's not about ability, but about quality. As I said, the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. In a short life, it is enough to fulfill our responsibilities within our ability. We can try our best to live our short lives, and then leave our achievements to future generations to inherit. This is not something that can be done by one or two people, but by the entire human civilization. Humans are like this, ordinary and great. Gwen stood up and stretched her body. Okay, let's go for a walk. Wait, where's Poke? He said he was going to buy hot dogs. We'd better go find him. A Spider-Ham man appearing on the streets of New York will definitely cause a huge commotion. Gwen looked at Benjamin and said, Benjamin, Miles has not received professional training yet. It's too dangerous to act with us. Let him follow you, and we'll go find Poke. Okay. Benjamin wanted to refuse, but Miles also began to plead at this moment. Please, Spider-Man in our world, promise me before he died that he would teach me a few tricks. Okay. Benjamin Parker sighed. So, it's really a wise choice for me not to have children. This kid is mine now. Let's go, man. Gwen shot out white spider silk from her hand, and the two left here one after the other. So what are you going to teach me? Is it your endless words, your ability to spray spider silk, or go see where I can buy midnight snacks? To be honest, when I thought of this, I suddenly thought of the physical blackening and gender transformation of those shitty NTS and DCMC, NMD. It's not that we don't like to see black characters. The main character of Spider-Man, Into the Spider-Verse is also black. How can the Spider-Man story not be good? As long as you write well, I don't care who the main character is. Damn, you don't think about the plot and you just mess with the characters. Black and assimilated gender transformed. If you write well, we can watch it, even if we have to. But what the hell did you write? Chapter 791, The Story of the Future. Avengers Tower, Stark Laboratory. The Ultimate Spider and Tony Stark have a little disagreement. When two scientists come together, they can collide with each other to create a spark of wisdom. The smarter they are, and the more their minds collide, the bigger the spark will be. Therefore, a spark can start a prairie fire, but if the spark is too big, it is easy to form a fire. Penny was chewing gum, and next to her was Spider-Man 2099. I'm talking to you two. Spider-Man 2099 thought for a moment and said, you two are both top scientists. Watch your words. Tony turned his head and said to Spider-Man 2099, I'm the best scientist in the world, not the top one. Ha, why on earth should I choose to work with you? The Ultimate Spider sneered and said, Tony Stark, a megalomaniac, is the same in any world. This is self-confidence, not arrogance. It can be seen that arrogance is imprinted in your bones. I'm talking to you too. Nick Fury stepped forward and persuaded, there are still groups of vampires flying around outside. Are you going to keep talking like this? If it weren't for this guy, I would have completed the device. Oh, really? Penny asked 2099 on the side. How long are they going to quarrel until? Why don't we just not count on them? 2099 said, let's take action. Where's your robot? He has a name. I call him SP//DR. He said this was the first time he saw a robot of his kind, so he went to play with the robot named Bumblebee. Nice name. Did you make him? No. SPN//DR was made by my father, and then he died on the battlefield. After I was bitten by the built-in spider in SP//DR, I gained some superpowers, and the most important thing is that I have direct telepathy with spiders. After my father died, I was adopted by Uncle Ben and Aunt May. They are both top scientists, and they and I repaired all the damage to SP//DR's mecha together. Then you wore it to fight criminals together? To be precise, it was to fight a monster that emerged from a wormhole in time and space. Penny told 2099 the story of her own world. According to current historical records, in my world about 1100 years ago, a huge wormhole suddenly appeared in the sky, and then a group of super scary monsters drilled out of the wormhole. Those monsters are tens or even hundreds of meters tall, with immense strength. Some can even release all kinds of electric currents and completely ignore the effects of gravity. They can run and jump with a weight of 1,000 tons. They are the kind that would make Sir Newton jump out of his coffin overnight. Wasn't Sir Newton cremated? Newton in our world wasn't cremated. His body was kept in the Science Museum, but the museum was destroyed by the giant beast. During the Resistance, humans discovered that the blood in their bodies was highly radioactively contaminated. To defeat them, they couldn't use thermal weapons, otherwise it would cause extremely serious pollution. So humans developed all kinds of powerful mechas to fight those monsters. According to records, humans won the victory through their own efforts. They blew up the wormhole and destroyed the monsters. There is even a monster museum in my world. But in ancient legends, it is said that the one who destroyed the monsters was a man who had gained the power of gods. That man also helped the poor, fought against injustice, and relied on his own strength to fight against the tycoons and nobles who had controlled the entire world at that time. Affected by those days, mechas have become a trend in our world now, until the monsters that were destroyed 20 years ago reappeared and were miniaturized, becoming several meters tall, and appeared in any corner of the planet through instantaneous wormholes. In order to resist the new wormhole beast crisis again, humans began to manufacture military mechas. My father was a scientist who manufactured mechas. He died in a large-scale wormhole beast invasion, and I continued to fight against wormhole beasts with SP//DR. Admirable, both you and your father. 2099 asked Jarvis for a laboratory, and then asked Natasha to send the vampire over as experimental material. What about you? Tell me your story too. Facing Penny's expectant eyes, 2099 wanted to refuse, but he thought of the story Penny had told before, so he asked, "It's okay to tell it, but did the man who fought against the world's Cheeble aristocrats succeed?" "Successful, but not completely successful." Penny said, "I don't know much about this period of history. I only know that in my world, those tycoons and nobles still exist, but they no longer control the entire world as recorded in the data. Is that so?" 2099's tone was a little lonely, but he soon regained his spirits. "Okay, let me introduce myself. Miguel O'Hara was born in 2099. Isn't your name Peter Parker?" "Of course not," Miguel said. "I'm an employee of a giant industry, Alchemy Industries, and later left for some reasons. When I was still in Alchemy Industries, I once developed a prop under the instructions of our boss. That prop can perform gene fusion and merge the genes of humans and animals. It sounds a bit crazy, but I successfully invented it and then used it to merge my genes with the genes of a poisonous spider. Now 50% of the genes in my body come from spiders. Then there are some, stories of chivalry. Okay, the story is over. That's it? Don't you think this is a very good story, Penny?" Natasha pushed the vampire Shakri, who was tied up like a dumpling, in and put him aside. "Okay guys, I'll leave it to you. Vampires, a kind of creature that only exists in myths and legends in my world. It was also the first time that Miguel saw such a thing, but as a genius biologist and mechanic, Miguel was just excited. Just take a break from the busy life." He tapped his chest 3 times in a row, and the skeleton spider suit on his body turned into particles and returned to his chest, revealing Miguel under the suit. "Nanotechnology. No, I used unstable molecules in my costumes from the Day of the Dead." Although Miguel was very fast, Natasha still found the claws on Miguel's hands. "I heard that the class gap in your world is quite large. Are you eavesdropping on us?" "I'm not eavesdropping, I'm listening openly. Ultraman Igu was originally written by a reader friend in the group. You can go and have a look. Also, I started sewing again. Chapter 792, Shoulder Pain. By the way, would you like some coffee?" "Forget it, I don't like that stuff." "What is coffee?" "Penny, is there no coffee in your world? A world without coffee?" Natasha chatted with the two of them in a casual manner. But I'm a Russian. As long as there is still wine in your world, it doesn't matter if there is none. I don't think I will live to 3000 years old, but maybe I can try in 2099. Did ancient humans live so long? Please, now is the modern time for me. After making sure Shukri would not break free, Natasha said to the two of them, "You two scientists keep working hard. I'll go upstairs and see if they need any persuasion or some way to add fuel to the fire. If you need anything, call Jarvis. He's always here." I never knew ancient humans could live so long. Penny. Miguel touched Penny's head and explained helplessly, "Even if we go back a few hundred years, there were ancient people who lived to be 100 years old before the Industrial Revolution. She looks at most 30 years old, so it's not impossible for her to live to 99. Okay, it's time to get down to business." Miguel stretched his body and looked at the vampire. "Don't be afraid. I'm the world's top expert in biological genetics. I can definitely change you back." "No, I don't want to change back." Shukri's desire overcame the fear brought by Miguel. After learning that the other party did not intend to let him change back, Miguel nodded with satisfaction. "That's even better. I don't have to deliberately save your life." Time flies, and dawn is approaching. Gwen and the extraordinary spider fly and wander over New York City on spider silk. "It's because of your Gwen, right?" Gwen's sudden words made the extraordinary spider tremble and almost fall down. Fortunately, his reaction was very fast, and he immediately connected a spider silk to ensure the stability of his body. "It seems I was right." "Wow, how did you see that?" Spider-Ham asked with a puzzled look on his face. "Do monkeys have any special telepathy?" Gwen sighed helplessly. "Poke, I'm a human, not a monkey. But you are almost exactly the same as monkeys, except that you don't have a tail." Faced with Spider-Ham's question, Gwen felt at a loss. Although she was not an autistic patient, it was definitely the first time in her life to communicate with a pig. In fact, there is one thing I haven't told Miles. That is, we may have limited abilities, but abilities are not a framework that limits what a person can do, but a boost to help a person break through the limit. We may have limited abilities, but our hearts are unlimited. I never thought that Gwen in a certain world would be a philosopher. These are the changes that my Peter has brought to me. Gwen jumped to the top of a tall building, followed by another person and a pig. "Take a break here. You've been patrolling for several hours. Aren't you going to tell me about your Gwen? She is a bit like you. I mean in terms of appearance. We first met in high school. She and I were classmates in high school, although we didn't even talk to each other for a long time. At that time, I was very autistic, just like all the most ordinary students. I was taciturn, not tall, handsome, or humorous, and my academic performance was average. Well, my grades were actually okay. This is one of the few things I can show off. Many people call me a nerd. Lightning is one of them, right? It seems that the guy in each world is annoying, but that guy is not a bad person by nature. He was one of the people who came to comfort me when I was at my lowest point twice. Yeah. Under Gwen's guidance, Peter vented his emotions in the past few months along with his words, but that guy played an indispensable role in my first communication with Gwen. He was bullying people, and I didn't agree to be his accomplice, so I was beaten up by him. Gwen happened to see it, and then we had our first communication. Later, because I wanted to investigate my father's disappearance, I went to Osborn Enterprises to find Dr. Connors, hoping to get some information about my father from him. Coincidentally, my Gwen was also interning there, and happened to be Dr. Connors' assistant. Then I was caught red-handed, but fortunately Gwen didn't expose me. Later, I was bitten by a spider in a laboratory in Osborn, and then I had some unusual powers, and caused some trouble. For example, I had a fight with someone on the subway, although I didn't want to fight at all, and then I ate up enough food in the refrigerator for our family of 3 for 3 days. The bacon rolls made by Aunt May were too bad, and I broke the alarm clock and dismantled the faucet when I got up in the morning. Well, later I encountered a lot of things, and my Gwen was there to accompany me. The first battle, going to school, Electro, and countless gangsters in New York City, and my best friend, Harry, New York sewer, kill. The red liquid blades whirled in the narrow space, and the 3 Spider-Men plus a Venom had to rely on movement to avoid the enemy's attacks. Oh my god, I didn't know there was a red Venom. Facing the sudden appearance of the symbiote, Toby Spider found that the current situation was more troublesome than he expected. How many more sonic bombs are there? 3. Okay, we have to find a way to get rid of one first. Leave that fake one to me. Don't throw that kind of shit at me anymore. Venom's hand turned into a sharp blade and attacked another Venom. The 2 Venoms, one big and one small, entangled in the sewer. Okay, then leave the red one to us. The 3 formed a triangle to surround the newly appeared symbiote. Unlike Venom, the danger of this guy was the same as the color of its body, red and scary. I'm Carnage. I want to start a massacre. Shut up. Didn't your parents teach you to be humble? P.S. Spider-Man threw a spider web bomb to control Carnage's body, but Carnage broke free from it at a faster speed. I don't have a mother. My father is there. Carnage pointed at Venom beside him while fighting with the 3 Spider-Men. You and your father look alike. Toby Spider dodged Carnage's blade and shot away another tentacle. We have to use a big killer. After finding that the pistol was almost ineffective against Carnage, Shadow Spider-Man said, Venom, you get out of the battlefield. We have to use sonic bombs. Fuck. Venom cursed and ran away immediately after hearing this. Chapter 793, The Power of Chaos. Haven't they finished arguing yet? Clint asked Captain America in a speechless voice. Captain, are you sure you want to call this an argument? Even a PhD thesis defense is not this difficult. For 2 top scientists, arguing like a shrew is not up to par, so they used a more effective method. They asked each other various difficult questions, and whoever couldn't answer them would lose. At present, Tony Stark has the upper hand. How long do you plan to argue? Looking at Tony Stark and the Ultimate Spider who were still colliding, Natasha suggested, since you can't convince each other, why don't you use a simpler way to convince each other? For example, each of you builds a system, and that system determines the winner. I've already started. Jarvis. Jarvis behind Tony projected the screen, and a map of New York City appeared on the screen. I scanned the vampires, and found that their temperature spectrum is very different from that of ordinary life. Through this spectrum, my mecha can scan the entire New York. What a coincidence. Me too. The Ultimate Spider summoned a spider robot. Seeing that the second round of defense was about to begin, Captain America hurriedly asked, what's the situation now? Are you sure it's safe? As far as we can see, the only vampire in New York City is here. Tony pointed to the screen. On the huge screen, only the Stark building responded. Sir, Venom called. Venom? Is there something wrong with the investigation? Or is he in danger? Hurry up and get through. This is Eddie. After the call was connected, Eddie's voice came. We are in the phone booth near that alley. In the sewer, we found Venom and someone who claimed to be his son. A rough roar sounded instantly. That's not me, and I don't have a son. Okay. Anyway, we found 2 symbiotes. Anyway, we need support. Understood. Avengers, assemble. Captain America immediately took up the shield. Clint gave up waiting and drank the hot coffee. Blade adjusted his windbreaker, and the trio set out again. I'll open the door for you. Mordo, who had listened to advanced mathematics and physics for a long time, opened the portal without hesitation. A circle lit up and opened the passage to the alley. Golden sparks lit up in the alley, and Eddie in the telephone booth was startled by a group of people who suddenly appeared. Coward, a broken door scares you. Venom, Eddie, come and lead the way. Venom hesitated for a moment, and Eddie seized the opportunity to ask, are you scared? You are scared. Venom quickly climbed onto Eddie's body, and the black giant burst the narrow telephone booth and strode towards the sewer. Telephone booth, I didn't mess with any of you. How did you know the phone number of Stark Industries? I guessed it. Venom returned to the battlefield with everyone. The 3 Spider-Men cooperated more and more tacitly, and Venom and Carnage saw that the situation was not good and actually started a new move, fusion. The 2 symbiotes, one black and one red, merged into one. With 2 heads and 4 arms, they were able to bring a strong sense of oppression. Oh my god, no one ever told me that 2 pieces of mud would be so disgusting after merging. As he said this, Iron Man raised his hand and fired a cannon. The laser landed on the symbiote and could not get close to it when it was 30 centimeters away from the body. A gray energy blocked the attack of the laser cannon. Everyone be careful. The Watum wand in Mordo's hand lit up with a golden light. He recognized what it was. This symbiote has the power of chaos. Hearing this word, Captain America and Iron Man both shuddered. They watched the Battle of Wakanda in the Infinity Gauntlet and later watched WandaVision. They both had an estimate of how terrifying the power of Scarlet Witch Wanda was. It's not just the destructive power. What really shocked them both was the unreasonable power of chaos to modify reality. Mage, I hope there is something wrong with your wording. No, this kind of disordered and chaotic power that can react to any energy is a characteristic of the power of chaos. The one of the great demons Thor? That's right. Isn't this a symbiote? Why is it related to the great demons Thor? Okay guys, there are two news now. Iron Man informed everyone in the public channel. The good news is, I remember that not only Thor has the power of chaos, but other demons can also control the power of chaos. The bad news is, anyone who can control the power of chaos is not weak, and among the demons in the dimension closest to the symbiote, there is exactly one who can control the power of chaos. God of symbiotes, nah. The symbiote seemed to have heard what Iron Man said, and its head turned 540 degrees, and roared at Iron Man. He said you can't call that null by his name. And how come I didn't know there was a symbiote god above me? Venom hid behind everyone. As long as he saw that everyone was about to use sonic weapons, he would turn around and run without hesitation. We have to come up with a plan. We can't let him continue. Let me do it. Venom took a step forward and sent a signal to the combined symbiote in a unique way. The other party was obviously stunned for a second after receiving the signal and then rushed towards Venom like crazy. Good opportunity. Well done. The chaotic power that kept surging from the other party's body obviously stopped appearing after being enraged. Perhaps it was because his master behind the scenes was too far away from here and it was troublesome to transmit information. Only when the symbiote maintained a stable state could the chaotic power be transmitted. The laser first hit the symbiote. When facing this inhuman monster, Iron Man had no intention of holding back. The laser cannons in both hands were turned to the maximum power, and the laser that could easily melt a main battle tank accurately hit the symbiote. The sudden increase in light and heat made the symbiote feel extremely uncomfortable. For them, in addition to sound waves, high temperature is also a deadly means to kill them. Mordo has already shaken the Archmages of Kamar-Taj over. Mordo and the other 5 Archmages took action in a hexagram position and collectively used a skill, Ceratok Crimson Magic Belt. As one of the most powerful demons, Ceratok and his Crimson Domain are famous, and there are many mages who borrow its power. At the same time, because of its high rank, Ceratok's Crimson Magic Energy is not inferior to the power of chaos. The symbiote was tied up tightly by 6 Crimson Magic Belts. Sir. At this moment, Jarvis called the communication phone. Chapter 794, Hickory, who is thinking about me? Miles and Benjamin Parker sat on a park bench, Benjamin holding a bunch of hot dogs, hamburgers, and fries. It's great. I didn't expect there are hamburger shops open in the early morning. Hey, can you give me one? Spider-Ham Parker came over without hesitation. Benjamin Parker immediately gave him a sandwich. Oh, thank you. I really don't know why they fell asleep when they saw me. Do I look hypnotic? Is it possible that it's because people have never seen a talking pig? Maybe. Parker also sat down and ate heartily. Looking at the two people eating and drinking, Miles covered his face in pain. Didn't you say you would teach me something? Miles grabbed Benjamin Parker's shoulder, but Benjamin dodged and only grabbed a hamburger bag. Miles said unwillingly, please. He promised to teach me something. Benjamin Parker thought about it and then said, okay, listen carefully, some spider tricks. The mask needs to be disinfected and remember to apply some talcum powder on the tights, especially the joints. That's all. That's all. Please, can't you give me some constructive advice? You will get a rash if you don't do what I say. You are really not a good teacher. Miles was completely disappointed. The two people and the spider looked up at the same time, and their spider sense rang. What's going on? It's the spider sense. This direction is Queens. Go. Benjamin Parker and Spider-Ham Poker shot Spider-Silk at the same time and swung towards Queens, leaving only Miles with a confused face. Hey. Watching the two people going away, Miles stuffed their leftovers into a trash can and then started running towards the Queens area. Halfway through, Miles suddenly stopped. Who? Come out. Miles turned his head and looked around. He shouted, "I'm Spider-Man, you can't hide from me." Miles was sweating and turned his head to look around. "Where are you?" Miles pointed at a tree, but only a mouse came out of the bushes under the tree. Ha, spider sense, awesome. The next second, a large number of bats flew out of the tree and pounced on Miles. Miles jumped up in fright and jumped onto the fountain in the park in the distance. Several bats turned into human forms and blocked Miles tightly. The one in the lead was made up of several bats and was obviously a high-level vampire. "Good evening, everyone." Miles smiled reluctantly. "Unripe sacrifice. Go, take him back and offer him to the bat totem." "Oh, hi, wait." Miles dodged the vampire's attack by turning sideways. Although his superpowers were not well developed, he was still half Spider-Man. The fighting instinct from the spider power controlled his body to avoid the attack of the leading vampire. Then, when he saw a vampire biting him, he directly pressed the vampire's head from behind. The static stinger on his hand burst out with a strong adsorption ability to stick the vampire to his hand. Seeing more enemies coming, Miles didn't have time to think about it and directly smashed the vampire in his hand like a meteor hammer. "You bastard. How dare you attack the great vampire." The vampire whose head was caught by Miles grabbed Miles' hands with both hands after reacting and tried to tear his hands away. "Let me go. It's a capital crime for humans to attack vampires." Capital crime. Miles once again used this vampire to knock an enemy away. He didn't know whether he should refute the fact that the other party attacked him first or tell him that he couldn't control this ability. Seeing the vampires around him were aggressive, Miles became more and more nervous, and under this nervous emotion, Miles developed his second level ability of electrostatic adsorption. Stinging current. The violent biological current flowed out of Miles's hand and the autistic vampire's temple. Then, in a twitch of the vampire was electrocuted to death by Miles. Looking at the vampire that turned into ashes in his hand, Miles asked, "This is a kind of magic, right? Human, you dare to kill the Great Blood Clan?" The leading vampire looked at the group of trash around him who were aggressive, but actually dared not to step forward, and shook his head helplessly. Now not only humans are useless, but even this batch of new vampires are useless. If it weren't for the great plan of the gods coming and needing these trash as cannon fodder, he would have cleaned up the door himself long ago. The high-level vampire killed Miles at a lightning speed. Facing the game opponent who suddenly increased the difficulty by more than one level, Miles was a little helpless and could only dodge instinctively according to the instructions of the spider sense. But the opponent was too fast. What was more terrifying than speed was his fighting awareness. Compared to Miles, a teenager who had basically no fighting experience, he had survived thousands of years ago, experienced the Crusades, the witch hunting era, and the Kunlun Council. In terms of fighting experience, he was not comparable to Miles, a good boy. Miles, who had a police father, had never even fought a fight. With a punch as fast as lightning, Miles was hit hard by the opponent and hit a tree like a cannonball. The tree was broken in half, and Miles fell painfully in the wreckage of the tree. "You can't escape, little bug." Huh. The senior vampire looked up, but found that Miles was gone. "You can't escape, bug." The senior vampire waved his hand and flew away with the other vampires. Ho, ho, ho. Miles was relieved when he saw the other party leave. He didn't know why the other party left. It couldn't be that he suddenly learned to be invisible after discharging electricity, right? Spider-Man didn't show the ability to be invisible. Miles, who was at a loss, covered his stomach and walked out step by step. At this moment, a pair of blood-red claws stretched out from under Miles' feet and grabbed Miles' legs. Miles jumped up instinctively, but he still couldn't dodge because of the injury just now. His legs were grabbed by the blood-red claws, and he couldn't move. His legs were pierced, and screams resounded throughout the park. The blood flowed to the claws, making the claws, which were already glowing blood red, more shiny, and more evil and creepy. I said, Bug, you can't escape. The senior vampire slowly walked over from the side, and one of his hands was still flashing with magical light. Looking at the senior vampire who was closing his eyes step by step, Miles was scared, and held his head with his hands, and closed his eyes. A sense of crisis arose spontaneously. The frequency of the spider sense alarm was louder than the alarm of the fire truck, but Miles no longer had the strength to break free. Don't worry, I won't kill you. I'll take you back. Although you're not ripe, God won't mind as an appetizer. The next second, the ground shook, and it was like a meteorite falling, raising huge dust and shockwaves. The claws that grabbed Miles' legs broke in a second, and Miles was directly blown away by the strong shockwave. Miles, who thought he would fall to the ground and be knocked unconscious, was caught by a strong arm and held in his arms. Wow. Looking at the big green man who was smiling at him, Miles also forced a smile in response. I'm Hulk. Hulk's self-introduction was louder than Miles' scream just now. Miles instinctively covered his ears, but his spider sense told him not to do so. Seeing Miles not covering his ears, Hulk was very happy. He pointed to the front and introduced Miles. That's Gwang, Hulk's friend. Miles looked in the direction of Hulk's finger, and a silver giant emitting sacred light slowly stood up. At this moment, in the Kingdom of Light, the Science and Technology Research Bureau, HU. Captain Hickory, are you okay? Chapter 795, The Battle of the Kingdom of Light. Tarikia asked worriedly, as light particle life forms, we can't catch a cold and sneeze like carbon-based life forms. Hickory rubbed his nose and said, it is said that sneezing on Earth means that someone is thinking about me or mentioning me. Maybe this principle applies to us. I hope so. Tarikia finished modulating the last few data on the light screen. The theoretical data model of the experiment has been constructed, and now only practice is left. Alas, what a pity. Now the Enpolar people are so aggressive that they may launch a full-scale attack on us at any time. We can only carry out the cross-universe travel experiment to the point of establishing a theoretical data model. Captain Hickory, if you want to go to the battlefield, right, Tarikia. Looking at Tarikia with his head down, Hickory grabbed one of his arms and said, I know what you are thinking, but I hope you can think about it. Hickory paused and reorganized his words. We are also providing our own strength in another way. Father Ultra said that compared to warriors, our minds are much clearer. Taking advantage of their strengths is what we should do. It's like a wooden barrel. As long as one plank is long enough, the water inside will never flow out. Our strength is our wisdom, isn't it? Looking at Tregia, who was temporarily fooled, Hickory finally breathed a sigh of relief. Although his little apprentice no longer considered the issue of light and darkness, his heart was still as fragile as a thin ice surface. He would never dare to mention in front of Tregia that even half of the blue tribe was weak and couldn't go to the battlefield. He could only desperately guide Tregia to think in a good direction. And Taro. He is almost 10,000 years old, but he talks like a dork knob all day long. I finally coaxed Tregia for 3 days, but that guy broke Tregia's defense with just one sentence, and I had to coax him again. I know that this matter is mainly to blame Tregia, but can't you have a little more emotional intelligence? More. How come your apprentice Mebius, such a good child, found a master like you at %@%@%#? The Land of Light, Ultra Fighting Dojo. Young Ultra warriors are training their fighting skills here. And below, that is the light training ground. A large number of light screens with different monsters will appear on the light training ground, and the young Ultra warriors will shine light at the light screens and continue to train. These young warriors have made great progress in the last light energy explosion event. That time, Ultra Father's old injury was healed with the gift from his friends. The energy aftermath of healing Ultra Father impacted the entire Land of Light and strengthened the energy of Ultraman in the entire Land of Light. Among them, the Ultra Brothers and Tarikia, who were closest to Ultra Father at the time, were the best beneficiaries. Ace unlocked the new follow-up content of Tathagata Palm, or to be more precise, he made a second creation, based on the original. Ultra Gold and Ace's Dharma are new abilities that Ace has learned. Ultra Gold can greatly enhance Ace's combat power, while Ace's Dharma For Ace himself, the blessing of Ace's Dharma is similar to Ultra Gold, but the entry difficulty of Ace's Dharma is extremely low, so many young warriors simply learn Ace's Dharma. For a long time, the Ultra Dojo is full of Ace. Ace has no objection to young warriors using their own Dharma to fight, but he still recommends that warriors try to find their own way instead of blindly imitating and learning from him. After all, not everyone is born with double mandibars and can throw dozens of skills in rotation without blinking. Ace's suggestion was recognized by many people, so soon, Zoff's Dharma aspect, Ultraman's Dharma aspect, Seven's Dharma aspect, the returning Ultraman Second's Dharma aspect and Taro's Dharma aspect appeared in the Ultra Dojo one after another. The Ultra brother said, Leo Wu, fifth brother, you can't drag the brothers into the Ultra Civil War just because you think your Dharma aspect is too hard to see in the Ultra Dojo. Father of Ultra, why doesn't anyone learn from me? Ha. I give up. Extending a hand to the young warrior, who fell to the ground, Taro stood on the high platform and nodded with satisfaction at the cat-headed warrior below. Fortunately, this disciple of his still gave him face and did not bring out Taro's Dharma aspect, nor did he use the Dharma aspects of other brothers to fight, but relied on his own strength to defeat the opponent. In this way, he saved enough face for himself, and secondly, he could use the example of Mebius's propaganda to strike at the current warriors who are obsessed with Dharma aspect combat methods and fight with the power of the old predecessors. It's not that you can't do this, but you're imitating too much. Watching the next challenger who used Taro's Dharma aspect to challenge Mebius being beaten up by Mebius, Taro nodded with satisfaction. Mebius will soon be able to win 100 games in a row, and when he completes 100 consecutive victories, he can carry out the mission to Earth. Time flies. For the people of the Land of Light who have an extremely long lifespan of tens of thousands of years, 20 years pass in a flash. It has been 20 years since Eddie returned, and a new monster activity period is about to begin. The Dark Empire Legion of the Enpola people is also ready to move. The entire universe is full of scenes of impending storms. I don't know when true peace will come. Taro looked down and saw that Mebius had defeated the challenger who used Taro's Dharma aspect. I don't know if it was an illusion, but Mebius was particularly ruthless when facing challengers who used his own Dharma aspect. Watching the challenger who was defeated again step down, Taro sighed. I still have to rely on my own strength as much as possible. Yeah. Ace walked over and stood shoulder to shoulder with Taro. Brother Ace, have the super beasts in the Tajina galaxy been dealt with? Yes, they are all old rivals. Becklorn, Baxim, Alaponta and Abalaba. Ace looked at the next warrior who used Ultraman Dharmakaya for close combat and said, I kind of regret passing this trick on. Although Dharmakaya can indeed borrow our power to strengthen itself and make up for its shortcomings, if we over-rely on this ability, we will never be able to find our own way in a lifetime. But the war is imminent, and maybe the increased combat power will be the key to their survival in the war. I hope they won't hate me in the future. How could that be, Brother Ace? Taro expressed his opinion on Ace's concerns. This is a decision made by the children themselves, and choosing us is also a manifestation of their trust in us. Yeah. Ace nodded and said, I really hope that one day these children won't have to fight anymore. I really hope that permanent peace can come soon. Before that, the burden on our shoulders is still very heavy. By the way, have you found some outstanding seedlings? Besides Mebius, there are some other excellent children. Some of them insist on using their own strength, while others use Dharma to make up for their own shortcomings. They are all very good children. I really hope I can always call them children instead of warriors. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 796. How are you doing? Monsters, stay away from them. The roar resounded throughout Queens, and a spider silk cut through the sky and hit the bat that was about to stick to Ben Parker, and then the bat was thrown away. The other vampire who had returned to human form wanted to get closer, but a figure wearing a red and blue tights on the upper body and a pair of loose jeans on the lower body instantly appeared in front of him. I don't know if vampires have bad sense. If they do, they will explode now. Benjamin Parker was angry and the opponent was not human. He rarely held back and punched. The fist was more terrifying than a cannonball. Spider-Man's power was terrifying. Even Miles, who had not yet fully awakened, could hammer a boulder with one punch. Now Benjamin Parker was decadent and fat, but his strength had not decreased at all. The vampire didn't even have the chance to fly backwards, because the speed was too fast and the power was too strong. This punch directly penetrated the vampire's chest and skewered the vampire on Benjamin Parker's arm like a skewer. Looking at the dead vampire on his arm, Benjamin Parker suddenly felt that he had gone too far, as if he had done something wrong. He wanted to turn around and comfort the 3 people who might be scared behind him, but more bats had gathered here. What are you looking at? Spider-Ham Parker looked up at the vampires flying around with a look of disdain. Haha, a talking pig. These vampires planned to pick a character that might be easier to deal with, so they targeted Parker. What are you? A character in a cartoon? Why? Parker's eyes revealed a hint of danger. Don't you watch cartoons? They are all those childish things. We are the Great Blood Clan. Who would watch? Bang. An oversized wooden hammer smashed the vampire who led the mockery into a meat pie, and then the huge wooden hammer was carried on the shoulder of Spider-Ham Parker. Great. Parker raised his eyebrows and said, who else is ready to challenge the cartoon character? Looking at the completely disproportionate pig and hammer, the vampires cried. What kind of monsters are these things? We are coming. Gwen and the super spider blocked the flying spider silk one after another. Gwen punched in the air and swung a golden energy wave to scatter the flying bats in the air. Woohoo. We don't know how to use Kamehameha. The super spider spread the spider silk and rotated 360 degrees in the air. With one foot, it accurately predicted the flight trajectory of a bat. With the help of this bat as a landing, it began to exert force in the air and then jumped up. The spider silk in its hand split into dozens of thin and long spider silks. The countless precise spider silks hit the bats in the air like a sharpshooter's bullets. With the huge force, a black unidentified object composed of bats rotated several times in the air and was finally smashed to the ground. Smoke rose and gravel splashed. Gwen followed closely with the spider web in his hand flying. The golden spider web stuck the bats to the ground and also burned the bats on the top layer, emitting black smoke and bursts of screams. A burst of engine sound passed through the not-so-quiet street, and a speeding yellow Audi. 3 Iron Man movies plus 1 Avengers 4. The Audi series car Iron Man has driven 3 times in total. According to someone's personality, it must be changed according to his wishes. Rushed into here at an unbelievable speed and drove through the golden spiderweb, and screamed again. With a sound of mechanical assembly, a yellow machine giant appeared on the street. Bumblebee raised his left arm and fired a shell into the sky. Stark super illumination flare modified. The intense light illuminated half of the block, and the bats were wiped out under the strong light. Only a few strong bats who lived long enough escaped. Let's chase. You stay here. Gwen and the super spider chased out on one side, while Benjamin Parker returned to his previous laziness. Man, if you were in my world, you would definitely be accused of light pollution by that guy James. Benjamin Parker came to Bumblebee with a spider silk, and Bumblebee made a very human expression of helplessness and grievance. This is my battle program. If you have any opinions, go to Tony Stark. Are bats so rampant in your world? This is the second time, right? Benjamin Parker stood on the wall of a residential building, and at this moment, a call suddenly came from above. Parker? Benjamin Parker's whole body trembled. He clenched his fists and hypnotized himself calmly. That kid is also called Parker. He must be calling him. Not me, not me, not me. The one standing on the wall. Damn it. Benjamin Parker covered his mouth and cursed a few words in a low voice, then turned his head very unnaturally and greeted the still young and strong Ben Parker and the younger May Parker. Hi, hello, I'm your friendly neighbor Spider-Man. Benjamin Parker was very unnatural, and Bumblebee immediately offered his help. According to my system analysis, you are in a highly nervous state now. The voice sounded in the loudspeaker on Bumblebee. Although Stark couldn't repair Bumblebee's original voice, he could make a new one for Bumblebee with various audios, and Bumblebee could completely tune his favorite one. I know, man, can you shut up? Benjamin Parker asked in a low voice. A soothing music sounded in the loudspeaker, and Benjamin Parker's eyes widened, and even the white part of the eyes on the hood also expanded. According to my information database, soothing music helps Earthlings relax their minds. Thank you. Spider-Man, can you come up? After hesitating for a moment, Benjamin Parker walked back. Hello. Benjamin Parker deliberately lowered his voice, but Ben stepped forward and asked, is that you, right, Peter? Ah, what? Oh, I mean, by the way, your nephew is called Peter, right? Yes, he's a very good kid, but he's not very good at lying. Ben looked at Peter, who was nervously dancing, and at a loss in front of him, walked forward and put his hands on his shoulders. You have never been able to lie since you were a child. Once you lie, you get flustered and like to pinch that thing. You have been like this since you were a child. Don't say that, Uncle Ben. Benjamin Parker's hands moved up and down, trying to find something to pinch. How are you doing? Because it happened at the same time in different places, it's a bit messy. And don't you like this part? I've been subscribing for the past few days and I can't watch it anymore. Chapter 797. So, you can sew anything. Hello, I remember your name is Miles Morales. Nexter released his transformation form and appeared in front of Miles as Peter. Miles was put down by Hulk and sat on the ground. The wounds on his chest and back were still aching, but Miles felt that these two places should be healed before dawn. Hi, Peter. Miles felt that he had really opened his eyes today. A Spider-Man just passed away in his universe, and then he saw a bunch of Spider-Men and two giants. You are not Peter Parker, are you? I'm the Hulk. I live in Banner. Okay. Miles only felt his eardrums hurt. And what is Banner? Is it a unique place name in this world? Actually, I just wanted to say it, but I was delayed by something and didn't ask. Peter approached Miles and slowly squatted down to keep his eyes level with Miles. Are you also Spider-Man? You look a little young. I'm almost 14 this year. Miles retorted, 11 months away. But I'm really not Spider-Man. I can't spin silk like you, nor can I climb walls, and I can't even control my hands to stick to things. Can you tell me about it? Actually, I've told it once. Okay. Miles once again told the three people the story of Spider-Man in his world. Are you feeling guilty about the death of Peter Parker in your world? Yes. Gwen said that I don't need to feel guilty about that thing, because I was just an ordinary person who had just gained the ability of Spider-Man. However, I was more afraid at the time. If I could be braver, maybe I could save him, but I didn't do anything because of fear. Maybe because the person in front of him was Peter Parker, or maybe because he had been enlightened. Miles was now more willing to show his inner thoughts. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to think like that. You're only 12. I'm 13, and I'll be 14 soon. I can already ride my bike to the store by myself. Facing Miles' childish rebuttal, Peter just said another more cruel fact. If you had taken action at that time, maybe you wouldn't be standing here today. But I have that ability, so I think I have to do something about it. What if I just can't become a hero like Peter, like Spider-Man? The night covered the earth, just like a layer of haze covering the heart of the 13-year-old boy. For adolescent children, once they get stuck in a certain corner, it is difficult for others to get them out. Only a very small number of lucky ones have people who can understand them and lead them out of the predicament. The rest can only rely on luck and time. It's normal to be afraid. I've always been afraid. When I faced the alien beast, I heard from Gwen that it was a particularly scary monster. Yes, I'm afraid too, but as long as, in an instant, the earth shook, a grey beam of light shot straight into the sky, and a few minutes ago. It's okay, I'm doing pretty well, that's all. Uncle Ben stepped forward and took off the mask on Benjamin Parker's head. Looking at the face that looked more vicissitudes than his own, Ben felt very distressed. You must have a hard time in the days to come. This sentence was like opening the floodgates of tears. Benjamin Parker couldn't hold back any longer. He hugged Uncle Ben and burst into tears. Spider-Man looks very handsome, but he is really in pain in his heart. Because he has been losing. He lost his parents before becoming Spider-Man, and from the moment he became Spider-Man, he was on the road of loss. Uncle Ben, Dr. Connors and Dr. Otto, who are both teachers and friends. Norman Osborn, who regards him as his nephew. His best brother, Harry, Aunt May, and Mary Jane. Until today, he is alone. Uncle Ben hugged Peter. Although this Peter may be older than him, in front of him, Peter still wants to be a child. When a child is wronged, he will find the person closest to him to cry. Even if he doesn't say anything, and just provides a shoulder for the child to lean on, it is good. How did you recognize me, Uncle Ben? Intuition and your characteristics. Uncle Ben helped Peter wipe the tears from his face. He said to Peter, a person's body will change constantly, but the most fundamental thing in a person's heart will never change. The moment I saw you, I seemed to hear myself in another world telling me that you are my Peter. Where's Aunt May? I'm taking you from this world to a temporary shelter. We plan to leave New York at dawn tomorrow and go to Nevada. An old friend of mine has a farm there, and we will live there. The shelter has a limited number of people, so only women and children can go in first. I originally planned to come back to get some things and then spend the night. New York is really unsafe. Sorry. Benjamin sobbed. This may be our fault. You always take too many burdens on yourself, which can be very tiring. But the greater the ability. Uncle Ben took over Peter's next sentence. With great responsibility comes great responsibility. I hope you can make good use of your abilities and shoulder the responsibilities you should shoulder, but you must always give yourself a chance to relax. You are too tired and have crow's feet. It's a sign of a mature man. Well, I thought you would say it's the beard. Uncle Ben looked at Benjamin Parker and said, maybe I was a little too harsh on you. No, if it weren't for your guidance, I think I might not be where I'm today. Without Uncle Ben, there would be no Spider-Man, and my world needs a Spider-Man. Sometimes, I feel like this is a dream that I don't know if it's a nightmare, but when I wake up from the dream I find that this may not be a dream. Peter, we all have nightmares. There is nothing scary about nightmares. When you wake up from the dream and have a busy day, you will find that the nightmare that brings you fear is now blurred in your memory. Nightmares will always be forgotten by us, and we have more important things to do, which is to build our own lives. Suddenly, the earth shook, and a gray beam of light in the distance shot straight into the sky. Benjamin Parker looked at the beam of light, then at Uncle Ben, and his confused eyes gradually began to light up. Go, here's your little gadget. Uncle Ben handed the mask in his hand to Benjamin Parker. Remember to disinfect and maintain personal hygiene next time, and eat more vegetables. Tell Aunt May that I love her. Also, tell this me, never invest in anything related to Spider-Man in the future, especially restaurants. Benjamin Parker flew on the spider silk and headed for the location of the beam of light. On the way, he met Miles, who was running towards the beam of light on his two legs. Miles, man, are you hurt? Looking at Miles' broken spider clothes, Benjamin Parker felt a sense of guilt in his heart. Originally, he planned to sew the God Butcher gore in, but there were too many things to sew in. Then let's stop here. It would be impolite to sew more. Goodbye, reader, goodbye. But it seems a pity not to use the symbiote that has been laid for so long. So let's consider it in the 7th or 8th live broadcast. Chapter 798, Soul Eater and Destroyer. Actually, it's okay. Sorry, the situation is urgent now. I'll apologize to you seriously when I come back. Benjamin knew it was his fault. If he hadn't left Miles here alone, this situation might not have happened. Wait a minute. Looking at Benjamin Parker, who was about to leave again, Miles knew that this was his last chance. Take me with you. Listen, I know it's dangerous. Miles held Benjamin Parker tightly. The electrostatic absorption ability was activated at this moment because of Miles' will. Benjamin couldn't pull Miles' hand away for a while. But I've already seen a Spider-Man die in front of me. I can't watch more Spider-Mans die in front of me. And you promised to teach me something. I've taught you, but you have to stay with me. No problem. Okay, get ready to swing, just like I taught you. When did you teach me this? Okay, just a joke to improve our relationship. Benjamin Parker took off a spider silk launcher from his wrist and threw it to Miles. Miles took the old spider silk launcher and said, "I always thought you spun your own silk. Come on, spit your own silk. I'm not a real spider." Miles put the spider silk launcher on his right wrist and asked, "What's next?" "Jump up, fly up, swing with spider silk." Miles followed Benjamin Parker's command and pressed the spider silk launcher in his hand randomly, but nothing happened except spraying himself with white spider silk. "Slow down, don't be too anxious. This is my first time." Explosions and monsters roared from afar. "Well, it looks like there's no time to wait. We have to go, man." Benjamin Parker spit out the spider silk in his hand, flying away. "Hey, wait for me." Miles tried hard to swing back to the feeling he had before, but his swing was obviously not very successful, either hitting the wall or failing to fly. "You have to learn to swing. I run faster than I swing. You have to swing, otherwise you will definitely not catch up. And this is what you want to learn." Benjamin was flying around here, and he began to teach by example. "Use the crotch as the reference line and aim at the target position. Keep your shoulders flat, and don't forget the follow-up actions. Don't fire when the center of gravity is on the back foot. Too much, I can't remember it. Then don't remember anything, just follow your feelings. This is really the best advice you have given me in the past 2 days." Two people, one flying in the sky and the other running on the ground. They both have a bright future. Suddenly a black figure pounced on Miles, and just when Miles' spider sense alarm sounded, a spider silk flew over and threw him away. "It seems that some guys don't want us to go over there." Benjamin Parker stood back to back with Miles, and their spider senses kept ringing. Looking at these monsters covered with yellow liquid, Benjamin Parker asked, "Are you ready?" "Actually, not yet." "Then go." Spider silk flew. Benjamin Parker and Miles joined forces to fight the enemy. Soon they found that this new monster was not very scary. Their strength was not strong, only slightly stronger than ordinary people, and they could not compare with them at all. The speed was even more horrible. People with healthy limbs could easily get rid of them, as long as they were not surrounded by them. There was no intelligence at all, just like the more traditional zombies. This ghost thing is not really a zombie, right? Miles couldn't stop thinking about this in his mind. The battlefield in the distance. A huge grey beam of light tore through the space and fell on the symbiote and then took it away. "Can you tell who did it?" "I'm sorry, I can't tell," Mordo said calmly, "but that power is definitely the power of chaos, and there are only a few demons in the universe who can use the power of chaos. The only one who has anything to do with the symbiote is the god of symbiotes." Nah. Mordo and two great wizards flew down to investigate the fluctuations in magic power, trying to reversely calculate where the symbiote was teleported to, and in the next second, a brand new symbiote appeared here. "Get out of the way. Be careful." As the storm descended, a symbiote with two heads and a strange shaped hammer in its hands and a heavily armored monster holding two hammers reappeared in front of them. "Venom, what's going on? Is it the second stage? When your symbiote is hit to a low health, it will burst into awakening and become a brand new Venom." Seeing the changes in the symbiote, everyone instinctively wanted to ask Venom, but Venom was stunned at this moment. "Blasphemer, die." The symbiote smashed Venom with a hammer, while another armored weirdo smashed the ground with two hammers to create a huge shockwave to prevent others from supporting Venom. Seeing the hammer flashing with terrifying light getting closer and closer, Venom was unable to move under the influence of an unknown force. "Venom, man, if you don't act, something big will happen." At Eddie's call, Venom finally responded, but he didn't dodge, but spit out Eddie in his body. "Live, Eddie." Eddie was thrown away by Venom, and the hammer flashing with strange light fell on Venom's forehead, and then bang. In an instant, Venom was beaten into ashes all over the sky. "I am Angela Soul Eater. I am Grethus Destroyer. Don't care what you are, the earth is not a place for you to run wild." The expressions of the people were quite ugly. In just a moment, there were casualties in the battle. This group of guys who claimed to be something or other must have an inseparable relationship with the symbiote god Null. "Foolish mortals, when our lord comes, the 9 realms will change masters." Grethus the Destroyer, holding two hammers, was about to say something when a green figure landed from the sky behind him. "Monster, you deserve to be beaten." The huge green hand directly grabbed the other hammer of Graces the Destroyer and threw it around. The Soul Eater, who wanted to support, faced the anger of the crowd. Laser cannons, exploding arrows, ultrasonic spider web bombs, suicide spider robots, the invincible Captain America shield, and all means of long-range attack flew to the Soul Eater. Boom. A violent explosion sounded, and Graces' hammer was broken, while Soul Eater was slightly injured. Whose men are you? Isn't it obvious? This must be related to Null. Kill him. The war began again. Only a knowledgeable wizard who had even been to Asgard felt that the hammer had a lot of Asgard style. Chapter 799. Leopardon must kill Sword of the Fighting Soul. Roar. The terrifying green monster picked up a huge hammer and easily blew up the cell barriers around him. The rune mark on his body, which was more than 3 meters tall, lit up. I am no boundary breaker. I'm the science of evil, the messenger of hell. 400 ants. Boundary breaker? The abomination who became the boundary breaker turned his head and saw a skinny human wearing a cheap tights posing there. Earthling, give your fear for the resurrection of my lord. Fear? I'm fear. The meaning of my existence is to make all evil people feel fear. As he said this, Toei Spider-Man posed a new pose. Boundary breaker had a feeling that he would definitely not be able to beat this guy if he talked nonsense, so he picked up the hammer without hesitation and swung it at Toei Spider-Man. In his expectation, this weak life who could only talk nonsense would definitely be easily smashed into a meat paste by him. However, the opponent's reaction speed and agility far exceeded the imagination of the boundary breaker. Toei Spider-Man jumped up and stuck to the ceiling to avoid the boundary breaker's hammer. The boundary breaker quickly reacted. This was an agile opponent. You can't beat me in strength, so you plan to surpass me in speed? Ridiculous. I'm the Sky Hammer Master, no boundary breaker. The boundary breaker raised the Sky Hammer and smashed it hard on the ground. The terrifying force instantly created a vacuum around it, and then the devastating shockwave swept the entire base. A military base was destroyed in an instant. Ha 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 ha. The boundary breaker collapsed from the ruins of the military base. Just when he thought that the guy just now was killed by his AoE attack, the opponent actually evacuated all the base personnel safely. This is impossible. The boundary breaker was dumbfounded. If the opponent could survive his attack, it would be nothing. It was just a strong enemy. If the boundary breaker could protect a few people or even dozens of people, it would be considered that the opponent was capable. But what does it mean that you even rescued the green plants in the base? How did you do it? I took the stairs. The boundary breaker knew that he had met his match. He narrowed his eyes and stared at Toei Spider-Man. He felt that this was a more difficult person for him than the Hulk. Kill. Let me wash away your sins. Seeing Toei Spider-Man rushing towards him without dodging or evading, the boundary breaker grinned and thought to himself that this time he would destroy this speed type opponent to pieces. The Sky Hammer smashed down, and Toei Spider jumped up to dodge and hit the boundary breaker's chin with an uppercut. Boom. The boundary breaker was knocked away by a punch and was directly stunned. The terrifying force formed a sonic boom, and the boundary breaker had only one thought: isn't this an agile opponent? But Toei Spider-Man did not pursue him. The boundary breaker regained consciousness the moment he landed with the power of the Sky Hammer. He quickly got up, holding the Sky Hammer tightly and staring at Toei Spider-Man. After only 3 rounds of fighting, the boundary breaker successfully fell into a disadvantage with his own efforts. No, I won't lose. I'm no boundary breaker. I will offer countless fears for the resurrection of my master. Can you grow bigger? Just when boundary breaker decided to use his ultimate weapon, Toei Spider-Man asked a question out of the blue. You actually know my special move? Boundary breaker was shocked. He didn't know that this move was told to him by Sky Hammer. There was no reason for the guy in front of him to know it. But boundary breaker didn't have time to think too much. If he didn't act, then the opponent would definitely interrupt his ultimate move. Boundary breaker shouted angrily, and the hammer in his hand gushed out the terrifying power of chaos mixed with streams of viscous liquid like symbiotes that drilled into boundary breaker's body. After a while, boundary breaker had turned into a huge monster. Ha 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 ha. Boundary breaker didn't understand why the opponent didn't attack when he transformed. Although it was useless to attack, He was protected by the power of chaos. Maybe the opponent was scared silly by him. Feeling his unprecedentedly powerful power, Boundary Breaker was full of confidence in an instant. What a powerful force. Are you ready to die, little bug? The confident Boundary Breaker wanted to laugh, but he couldn't laugh the next second. He saw a flying machine-like thing appear in his sight, and then Toei Spider-Man had boarded a racing car, and then the racing car entered the flying machine, and finished nesting dolls. Transformation, Leopardon. A huge robot appeared in front of Boundary Breaker. There are rumors that Toei Spider-Man has joined Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse too. I began to wonder if Parallel 2 really fights the Air family. Head darts. Iron Fist rocket. Spider punch. Anyway, Boundary Breaker was beaten unilaterally for a period of time. It's hard to say how much fear power he collected for his master, but if the fear power of the Sky Hammerlord can be counted, then the power he received should be quite a lot. Seeing the Boundary Breaker who had been beaten into a dead dog in front of him, Toei Spider sighed. Boring. Sure move. War Soul Sword. Boom. No Boundary Breaker. Dead. Sky Hammer. Shattered. At the place where the Sky Hammer exploded, the owner of the Sky Hammer and all the Sky Hammer venerables felt this message. Deep in the sea somewhere on Earth, in a dark and mysterious area, an old man with white hair and white beard sat on a sea rock. The depths here were completely lusterless. 5 huge magical sea snakes roamed in the dark sea water. Once an invader entered here, they would suffer their most deadly attack. The old man was wearing a set of tattered armor, and the cloak behind him was no different from a rag. He sat quietly on a rock in the dim water. It was clearly underwater, but his skin was cracked, which was very much like the land that had been dry for a long time. He looked like a mummy, just like his current state, dying. If it weren't for the prophecy, he would have died long ago. The unchanging scene and the long years completely wiped out his concept of time. He didn't know how long he had been here. He only knew that now he might have a chance to escape. Therefore, his heart, which had been silent for a long time and almost stopped beating, became active again, after who knows how many years. He is Kol, Odin's brother. He is the god of fear, the former king of Asgard. He is the great snake Jumungandr. Chapter 800, that is the Rainbow Bridge from Asgard. As the master of the 8 Sky Hammers, Kol can naturally sense and control the Sky Hammers, because there is a trace of Kol's soul in the Sky Hammers. Of course, this premises that it is not sealed. After being sealed, he can only control the Sky Hammer within a very small range. That is, only when someone holds the hammer handle, Kol's soul can guide or directly control that person to become the Sky Hammer Master, that is, his subordinate. The reason for all this is that Kol and his brother Odin had a battle for the throne not long ago. Obviously, he was the loser. The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit, but Kol was unwilling to be sealed like this. In Asgard, there is such a prophecy that only Thor can kill the snake, but Thor will also be poisoned by the venom of the snake and die with the snake. Odin was obviously reluctant to let his son and his brother die together, so he sealed his brother, hoping that this prophecy could be extended indefinitely. Kol stayed in this damn dark waters for many years. It was so long that Kol almost forgot about the grudge between him and Odin. Until just now, the Sky Hammer responded to him. Kol didn't know how long it was. Anyway, for a long prison life, the time when the Sky Hammer responded to him was as short as it just happened. I don't know who attracted the Sky Hammer far away in the starry sky and guided more hammers to the earth. Before that, he felt that the 7 hammers in the starry sky were eroded by unknown divine power. He thought that the other party would destroy his soul hidden in the Sky Hammer together, but it didn't happen. They just gave the Sky Hammer a new divine power and threw them back to the earth. And there was also a Sky Hammer Venerable, Blood Prophet. He now feels that 3 Sky Hammer Venerables have come to the earth. Although he felt the power of other demons on his hammer, Kol couldn't care so much. For him, as long as he could break the seal and cooperate with the Cosmic God Group or something else, he didn't care. The 3 hammers landed one after another. 2 of them brought their own dry food to generate electricity for love, and the other one quickly found a suitable candidate on the earth. Just when Kol thought everything was going in a good direction, bang, one of the hammers broke. Kol's mentality almost exploded on the spot. You cheated and attacked me, an old comrade who has lived for more than 5,000 years. Is this good? This is not good. Cul took a deep breath and tried to calm himself down. It was not that the Lord of Skyhammer exploded, but that the Lord of Skyhammer exploded with a hammer. In other words, there are only 7 of his 8 Lords of Skyhammer left. Wait! Exclamation mark. In the center of New York City, the battle between the 2 Lords of Skyhammer is not optimistic. No, it's over. Good news, the hammer is fine, and these Earthlings don't have the power to destroy the hammer. Bad news, someone from Asgard is coming. The rainbow bridge fell, and 2 people walked out. One with blonde hair shawl, holding the hammer in hand, the other with black hair shawl, wearing deer horns on his head. It was Thor and his worrying brother. Loki, I'm a monster. Feel the wrath of the thunderbolt from Asgard. Thor raised Thor's hammer, violent lightning gathered on the hammer, and then he spun Thor's hammer and threw it accurately, hitting Soul Eater. The symbiote became Lord Skyhammer. A shrill scream cut through the night sky of New York City. The symbiote became Lord Skyhammer, but the weakness from the genetic factor was not clear, but was weakened. Ordinary sound waves, strong light and flames may not be able to hurt them, but the thunderbolt power from the Asgardian God King is still a fear imprinted in the genetic factors of the symbiote. The thunderbolt with divine power penetrated the body of Soul Eater. If it were not for the protection of the power of chaos, this would be enough to kill the symbiote on the spot without leaving any residue. With the addition of Thor, the whole battle situation was reversed instantly. The advantage of the Hammer Lords, who were only barely in the upper hand, was instantly broken. Hulk was already a terrifying killer. Even the Hammer Lords had to use the power of chaos to barely suppress him. Moreover, Hulk's power seemed to be rising. God knows how long he can suppress him. When Thor, who had completely defeated the Soul Eater, joined the battlefield, the destroyer couldn't hold it anymore. If it weren't for the control of Kul's soul, he would have wanted to sell out his teammates and run away. The Soul Eater was beaten by Thor. As the absolute main force, Hulk beat the destroyer crazily. The other Avengers and Spider-Man were not idle either, constantly sending various assists to help Hulk win faster. Loki originally planned to run away directly, but when he saw the destroyer's face clearly, he couldn't help but feel a little confused. He wandered around the battlefield and soon found a broken long-handled warhammer. It's him, Ronan the Accuser. Hasn't he been dead for more than a year, and there is no trace of his body left? Loki was puzzled. As far as he knew, Ronan the Accuser had died on Xandar a year ago. According to the information sent back by his informant, he was caught in the energy field of the Power Stone, and then there was no trace of his body. Did he fake his death and escape, or did he really die but was resurrected? Loki was puzzled. Ronan was not like him, and he was proficient in tens of thousands of techniques of faking his death and escaping. Moreover, he was also a very proud person. Even if he had lost face and faked his death, he would not have not appeared for more than a year. Then the most likely situation is that he was not dead at that time, but was killed by the Great Snake Kull. That's not right. If the Great Snake Kull had the ability to save Ronan from the energy storm of the Power Stone, would he choose Ronan? Exclamation mark. It's possible. Ronan's strength can still be ranked in the universe, but it stands to reason that Thanos and his 4 generals are stronger. Is it because of the blood of the gods? No, the Black Hand is someone else. According to Loki's understanding, although the Great Snake Kull is the god of fear, he is a pure-blooded Asgardian, a royal family of Asgard, so if he had the hope of breaking the seal a year ago, he would definitely not have the patience to wait until today. It is a bit difficult for a reckless man who has been locked up for who knows how many years to play the patience plan. The situation on the battlefield has changed from being evenly matched to one-sided. Loki has no intention of taking action at all. Thor fights harder and harder and finally hammers a Soul Eater to pieces. Hulk's strength becomes extremely strong under the blessing of rage, but he still has reason. He hits the destroyer with a set of turtle punches and a set of heaven and earth big spins to throw the hammer out of the destroyer on the spot, allowing the opponent to release the destroyer state. Spare him. Seeing that Hulk was about to solve it with a punch, Loki hurried to stop him. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.